What is up, PlayStation community? Welcome back to another great day of the PlayStation Tournament's Master Circuit for Apex Legends. This is wild card number 4, and you know what that means? Well, if you don't, that's why I'm here to tell you. It qualifies all of our teams into the grand final. This is the last chance to do it, and I am so excited to call the action with you today. My name is Rain Day. I've been your host for a lot of these, and so is this guy to my left, Matrim. It's so great to have you here, man. And finally, we get to do a broadcast together. We're in sync for the first time.
I know, we work a ton of events, but never really at the exact same time. So great to finally be working with you. Also, apologies to everybody. As you can tell, it's a little early over here, so I've got some sun on my face. So if you're curious on what that is, hey, sorry, I'll play with it for a second, but it'll go away in just one moment. I am excited, though, because we're moving into our very tail end of this, and you know that this is going to be some hype, especially given what was going on earlier this week with the EU plays.
Matrim, I was going to give you a break. I'm excited to cast with you, but you can't control the sun. I mean, to me, that's a disappointment right off the bat. All right, let's get into the format, ladies and gentlemen, of how this thing is going to work, because you've been here before. You know, if you haven't, let us walk you through it. Trios, like any Apex Legends game you drop into, unless you like to play those sweaty duos in-game. I certainly do not. Up to 20 teams, meaning we may have a full lobby, we may not, depending on how many teams want to play again. There are lots of reasons to play again. They may already be qualified, but either way, it comes down to just 5 games. So instead of the usual 6, we've had 1 less. Means you got to get the job done a little faster, Matrim, in order to get into the good stuff.
And that means that pressure is going to mount based off of how many points you can get during those 5 games. Starting off, you should be very familiar with this stage. You get, in first place, 12 points, then it comes down into 9 for second, 7 for third, diminishes all the way down into 15th place, where you still get 1 point. 16 through 20 gets absolutely nada, so you gotta try to make sure that you're inside those placement points. But if you're fighting early and fighting thoroughly, you're going to be able to pick up a lot of KP, for each elimination point is also going to be worth 1 and can stack up quite heftily.
Yeah, what we see too is teams starting to understand the value of that is 6th and 7th gets you the same amount of points and placement as it does just winning 1 fight off drop. So we may see some aggressive teams, we may see some teams who want to play to that final circle, or maybe some teams who put it all together. If they do, and certainly that would be a great day for them, they'll also add the cash prizing on the line as a benefit. $600 going to first place. Second place will clean up a $300 prize. Third and fourth will each get $150. And 5th through 10th will grab seats in our seasonal final, as well as 1st through 4th, even though only 1st through 4th will be in our prizing for the day. But it all comes down to, can you get the job done? And we've had a lot of action leading up to this matchroom that has gotten these teams here.
Oh, earlier this week, it was absolutely insane looking through everything that was happening. We Don't Play had a phenomenal run. 3 games back-to-back, managed to pick up the hat trick, and it was looking like it was just done. Dusted, these guys were going to get it. But like you were talking about, you do some math. Hakeem's managed to do it. On game 4, they started doing a hot drop down in position over in Eternal Gardens. So we might see that fight continuing forward, because that actually did stop We Don't Play in their tracks and allowed a couple other teams to start rising up. Most notably, we need to keep an eye on teams like Olympus Esports, who've had themselves a big set of plays. Skelly was also on the climb, but don't count out anybody. We had Old Hunters also making some big plays. Koopy managed to walk away with a victory off of what Hakeem's managed to establish. So these teams now realize this is their last chance, and they are going to be gunning for it the entirety of this.
And that is a great setup into where we are now. Of course, teams all across the spectrum of whether they're able to show up and surprise us, whether they're able to be underdogs and play to a greater story today, or whether they are simply teams that seem unbeatable. We Don't Play taking a commanding 3-game victory in last week's. Will they be here this week? Yes, they will. These are the teams qualified for today. Hakeem's, as you had mentioned, we've got We Don't Play. We even have new TSM. I'm curious to see. The old TSM does pretty well, but new TSM, I wonder if they can up level from that matchroom as we take a look at who will be competing this afternoon.
Yeah, there is going to be a lot to watch. Again, We Don't Play put up one of the highest skill counts that I've ever seen before, having the Hakeems come up after them. Olympus Esports is just a very consistent, thorough team to keep an eye on. But then, again, we have got teams like Moonstars, FMA Titans that are going to be coming in here. All of these teams can have a chance to throw in some major curveballs. So it's a matter of who went home, who did their homework, who's going to be making the changes up. Because as we're going to be moving into everything, whenever we look over at Broken Moon, it's not been polished out entirely. There's still a lot to be found inside this map, and that's why I love the fact that we're playing on it and we're competing on it, because I think that if you've managed to do some work on this one, you're going to be able to come up with an amazing set of games today.
Well, throughout today, we want to make sure that you are aware of how this all started. It was with a simple click onto compete.playstation.com. That is where the hub of PlayStation Tournaments esports lives. So if you want to earn cash, you want to earn prizing, you want to get involved in this scene of PlayStation Tournaments and maybe play Apex, get on broadcast, or any other game that you're interested in, this is the place to do it. Compete.playstation.com. That will allow you to get engaged with us and show what you've got. And also, I think keep building this community that PlayStation has been so just apt to build over these last few months.
And there's a ton of stuff. If Apex isn't your bag, but you enjoy watching it, there's a ton of other games that you can hop on to. So, with the Winathon that's going on right now, you can rack up wins on PlayStation tournaments no matter what you're playing throughout all of December and January for a chance to win prizes like the new DualSense Edge controller, which is super sexy, or even PlayStation 5 consoles. Sign up on console and start competing for prizes today. Full rules can be read on, no surprise, compete.playstation.com.
Well, you know, this is a great opportunity as we get ready to settle in to our next and first map of the day. I looked at that roster, Matchman. One thing stood out to me more than the rest. There was We Don't Play, and then there was a lot of other teams that don't nearly have the same cachet and haven't actually been in our tournaments as much as some of these other veterans. So I noticed there's a lot of newcomers. There's a lot of teams that are maybe, you know, have a chance today to prove something. And I also noticed that We Don't Play, they're already qualified for the final. They're going to be going for first place. They're here because they want the cash prizing. They want the reps, but definitely they want that cash prizing. And so it's going to be up to the rest of the lobby to see if they can somehow stop them. I don't know if they can.
I'm curious to see if we're going to see continued hot drop over in Eternal Gardens with the teams trying to make that happen again. And like you said, We Don't Play is already qualified. They can play for money today, yes, or they can play for position. We can often see that that's going to happen whenever you have like a contested drop. Sometimes a team that's already qualified is just like, screw it, today is my day. I'm going to hold this down, and I'm going to make sure to punish you. I don't care if we win or lose. You're not going to drop here again, and we're going to make sure that we ruin your games and your chance to qualify if that's the case, and you continue to hot drop us. Or we might see We Don't Play try to play with a new drop location. There's a lot of variables that we could be looking in instead of the more formulaic styling. That's why I love new teams. We never know what a new team's going to do, and that's kind of the joy of this style of qualification process, right? We're getting some new faces, and who knows what's going to happen.
You also take the risk, too, across those points. There's the second side that maybe something goes wrong. Maybe you start questioning some things that had been working. You go back in and you know it's not the lobby you're going to face. So maybe your pacing gets a little more comfortable with some teams that are trying to prove themselves versus the lobby you're going to see in the grand finals, which is going to be all veteran squads who have proven that they are threats to you throughout these wildcard days. So there is a story with We Don't Play, holding down clearly the most winning team in this lobby. Can they keep it up in map number 1 as we head to Broken Moon to kick things off? One of my favorite things about this Master Circuit is that we just get to see this new map, Matchroom, on display when most tournaments, most opportunities to do so aren't really in existence outside of this.
Falling in on the ranked meta is a big thing because this means the fact that you guys can watch and instantly take this into your games, figure out new ways to play. If you see somebody doing some new tactic, you can bring it in and use that to climb yourself. So we're going to have to see if we have any meta changes that are coming in. We do see a Pathfinder. I know Girl's not here today, but you always got to call it the Pathfinder. It's going to make her happy. Get some Octanes in here as well.
Yeah, I like it. I like what we're seeing. I think Caustic we definitely saw some Bangalore. You know, my question that I'm asking is that, you know, we see a clear shift from World's Edge to Stormpoint. What's the shift that we see to Broken Moon? You know, what legends actually start to have the same level or a different level of impact based on the map spacing and style of play and how the choke points run into each other? Bangalore, you know, a really flexible legend, and that's what Rommel Plays of We Don't Play has had a lot of success with. I'm curious to see if we'll see more Bangalores, Matchroom, or more legends that haven't gotten their shine on maybe Stormpoint or World's Edge here on Broken Moon really have a lot of efficacy.
Yeah, there's also different pathing and rotation options with the rails coming in, so there's not as large of a reliance on needing some assistance in rotation. So capabilities. I'm getting some Christmas music, I think, as we're coming in here.
I think it's that Winter Express, Carol of the Bells kind of, let's get down. I love it, man. This is really what makes it so fun. It gets you in the mood. It sets the tone of what time of year it is, and It also sets the tone that once the music stops, things get serious as RGB look to fall down. You can see we do not have a full lobby, so 13 squads, so there's going to be plenty of space for them to play and to rotate into this south western circle that we're seeing kind of around Terraformer. We'll see where that pulls, but there's going to be a lot of room for them to run.
Foundry had 2 teams that committed down into it. We do see the fact that We Don't Play did get Eternal Gardens to themselves. Hakim's going to be playing up next to Alpha Base. So that storyline not going to be started off too well, but we'll see how much that's going to develop as we move in. 2 teams that did drop down next to each other in Foundry area do have some separation, so it doesn't look like they're committing into any drops. So this looks like this is going to be a much smoother, I guess, start. And that's no surprise. Game 1, it's all about like getting in the groove, trying to set up a good section of points so that way you can keep your points per game up pretty decently. Nothing too crazy is going to come out off the get-go. It's only you start seeing that crazy start to kick off when somebody really needs the points.
Yeah, and that actually is one of my favorite parts of an Apex Legends tournament. Just when you start to see, okay, you've had these variables, everyone's played nice because you're all in the same position with 0 points, but when somebody starts to get desperate and, you know, you're comfortable, how does that shift when the desperate team shows up to the comfortable team and says, I want to make you uncomfortable right now. Let's see how you handle this. Always a great dynamic within Battle Royales, as you've covered and known before, but also in terms of Apex, as Moonstar's maybe aware that there could be a team nearby and wanting to just hold as much. You can see that is where we have our first 50-50. So a smart move, I think, just to back up. Absolutely no need to risk too much too early. I think you just want to show presence in case you do get an easy shot and can grab an advantage, which is exactly what Kyoto's doing, just kind of holding strong sight lines and saying, okay, I don't want to step too far out of line, and I want to see if I can keep an eye on this team we know is nearby.
Yeah, and they're moving the right direction. You can see moving into the east, they're going to start getting more and more, realize what's going to be going on. We do have a Zelaria on the opposite side that is playing much further to the north, separated away, so it looks like they've spotted on both sides of this. So looks like we're going to see the other team start to regroup back into 3, so it's going to be full-on Wolfpack versus Wolfpack. 3 lined up against each other, but now with the shots coming out, nothing really happening to Moonstars yet. This is just kind of a waiting game to see who can get some damage. Domino does take a decent chunk, though.
You don't want to get cracked. That is the signal, the universal signal of we have an advantage. And so Domino going to be able to get 1 shield cell off, but I love the height that Zelaria is rotating with. This is going to be tough. They've lost Beto. Moonstar's already down because Domino couldn't get into that fight, and that has been the difference so far. What can these grenades do to maybe turn the tide back around? It's a smart rotate backwards as they smell that something isn't right on the right-hand flank as 2 players trying to get aggressive, and there's another ultimate coming through as well from Kyoto. Matchroom, they are trying to push this one. Can Kyoto do something here? It's a perfect flank, and he's got to do 1 more bullet to finish him off. That would be disastrous.
Oh.
No, to not clean that up, but it's Domino who almost clutches. Moonstars eliminated after an incredible effort there on their behalf.
That was very cleanly played. I mean, they approached in. They were the ones that were technically being aggressed in upon, so good read onto it. Looks like we've got another fight that's going to be breaking out over here. It's going to be Coppernick Pizza. This is going to be in the northwestern area. Good shots are going to be coming in. Looks like they've already got it down into it, so just instantly jumping in, following that out. North and south get eliminated in a western fight before they can even make it over to the east.
Taking down a Loba player too, always fighting from the high ground, it typically is where you want to be. And when you have a position that you've given up and you've fallen down, you know that it's inevitable. You have to now play that kind of fourth dimension. You have to start thinking, okay, they're above and they're in front of me, and where do I need to go? You have to really add so many variables that it's a lot for that player, especially with no cover out in one of these open lines that Broken Moon provides, to really survive. So it's unfortunate for that one. Copernic Pizza, though, feeling themselves in a bit of a rhythm, and that's how you want to start game 1 and put yourself in a good position to advance and get some early points.
Yeah, looking through, it seems like that's been kind of the end of the fights for right now. With the way that we see the death funnel coming in, it looks like it's going to be around that promenade area where maybe about 4, maybe 5 teams might be pathing into. That does mean the fact that we're looking around, Hakims are playing into the due north of this, and since they've got a cliff facing that's going to be coming in front of them, they're going to have to figure some stuff out. Terraformer, though, is where we're going to be looking at with We Don't Play, is they're going to be making it into the center of the circle, and Terraformer's a strong place to play in general, especially if you're a team like We Don't Play and getting center early. This is a variation, as we saw them playing edge play mostly through the first 3 games, so they had the biggest success, going for KP early. This time it looks like they're going for position early.
And when you are a person like we don't play, a team rather, like we don't play, you know, your advantage is team fighting. Your advantage is being able to be flexible. You've got a Horizon and a Bangalore. You can get out and into many situations. And when you give up your ability to rotate, you're giving up KP, because that is almost a guarantee you're going to be just as good or better than the team that you're running into in this lobby. And they know that. So going to play zone to me tells me that they're focused on this zone particularly. I think they feel very confident that if they hold the right position there near Terraformer, they're going to have the ability to shoot at a bunch of people rotating late and get that KP coming to them versus having to traverse and run to it. I like this style that we're seeing from We Don't Play, and again, showing that they've got a plan, and that is an important thing to always come into a battle royale with, a strong plan. Even if it's a bad one, something that your team is going to commit to and have at least a fallback on.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this is developing up here, because what I can see in the due northern area, we have 4 teams that are all going to be stacked up next to each other.
Yeah.
And We Don't Play, as I thought, was not going to be too content to hang out around here, so we might see them do some variations in movement, but it's going to be really Aqua going to have to be moving over here, as looks like this is going to be the firefight. With the cliff facing to the south, all of these guys are going to have to path on top of each other, and this means the fact that AoE's explosions are going to be big, but some height does get some damage, but Fake Taxi's got to get away. He's about to go down.
Goes up and back from the gravity lift. It's just an easy way to get a couple of shots and then get out of the damage, but he took too much up on the way, and now Snorlaxia has been able to take down Fake Taxi 2G. Trying to finish one more. Copernic Pizza already off to a great start here. 4 kills in total, 3 for Snorlaxia. Able to be the kill leader in the lobby and still on the hunt here as they start looting up. Another fight taking on 2 exhibits, countering each other out. It's Akeem's looking to get it down. One done Aqua as well, taking on Akeem. So Griamore holding this angle. It's going to be tough to push from here, but they've already lost Fake Taxi. And so despite it being a difficult place to get too aggressive on, there is not an easy way for them to get out of this one, especially with We Don't Play lurking nearby, Matrim.
There are so many teams converging over here. Over half the lobby is all coming in. One done Aqua doing a good job on holding out, but it's going to be the third party that's doing so much damage into him. Trying to get away, you can see the fact that they did manage to take out RGB, but the circle popped all the way down to the south. Big hardship. That means the fact that this firefight is going to be very problematic for everybody that committed up into the north. You can see, We Don't Play even taking a casualty at this stage just due to the numbers that are around this position. I don't think that they realized how many teams that they were walking into.
I mean, I don't know what, I really don't understand it. I was giving them praise for having the ability to kind of be patient, know that they're in a better position. They can sit near the zone. They can catch a lot of these teams trying to rotate south if they just stayed at Terraformer. They say, no, we're trying to go and get this early rotation KP. We want to fight every team, and it bites them. Ramo Place goes down. Romeo Place goes down. Mr. Profin goes down. It's now just Mr. Namka. It ended up being a bad decision for We Don't Play. They thought they were invincible. They are certainly not. And now it's going to be all up to that Bangalore to be able to last out and try to get some placement points here.
Copernic Pizza actually even gets the res. This is turning to be a big game for them up here in the north. The more that they can continue to influence this, it's going to be crazy. It does look like we're starting to get some calm as Namka did get separation away. So not going to have to deal with CES. Rest of the team looks like they're going to be kind of following in. New TSM, you said the fact that you want to keep an eye on them. They're going to be in the north, and they've been in the thick of this one, but they've managed to pick up a couple of kills, still managing to survive with 2. And in a situation where We Don't Play only managed to walk out with 1, got to be happy with that.
Still 4 seconds on the focus of attention, so doesn't have the vision with that or with the ultimate, which is at 87%. Reaper is just going to have to feel this one out. Griamore underneath. You know they were already fighting with 2. This is one done Aqua. Can they take down the new TSM? We got Fake Taxi. We got new TSM. There's the battle of the substitutes here, or should we say the understudies. We'll see if one of them steals the show. One done Aqua's still here, patient. Close the door, and they realize there's fighting to be done at their back. Just have to hold the angle, Griamore, while Rose hits the shield battery.
I love the defensive angle leaned into that. You can see making sure, hold the angle right over there so that way that they get a good peek down that hallway, because this can be a death trap if you're not careful. Good read onto it. Jumps up, gets a lot of damage. Hasn't managed to get the knock yet, but at least going to discourage away at the back end. Still going to try to connect more. It's still going to be purple, but with this, it looks like advantage is still going to favor one done Aqua. Issue is, zone's here, and they've got to move. They are so far away from where this next ring's going to be. They need to finish this out, and just the loop-de-loops and the distractions coming in means the fact that Rose is going to go down. Finally do manage to pick up new TSM, but there is a big price in this.
Yeah, and they've got to go far. I mean, this is not a bad situation. I mean, Mr. Namka, he's got to go even farther, although on the Bangalore, you would have thought, it's a fast character only when she's getting shot at. So that 30% movement speed is not really going to benefit Mr. Namka right now. Just got to hope that he's got enough syringes, and I think he does, to be able to make it in. But yet again, what a start. I mean, for We Don't Play, we had said this is their lobby to lose. Somehow they got a little too aggressive, Matchroom. Rose and Griamore as well from Wanda and Aqua. They lose Fake Taxi 2G really early, but they have a great sense. Without ultimates, without focus of attention on the Seer, they just game sense it, and they realize there's one person above us. Let's go ahead now. Let's make the push. The zone's coming in. They're not going to expect this 2v1, and they do enough damage to get the down and finish up the clutch against the Pathfinder, who was trying to do a little ring around the Rosie there. I love the play that we've seen from a lot of these teams here. It started off game one really interestingly.
Pay attention to the pink team that's coming into that northwestern area. That's going to be Kopernik Pizza, who has really been the beneficiary of everything that's been going on up here. With the choke points and the way that they've established, another hard shift is probably going to be due, and it does end up happening as we are heading down into Bio. Notice the cliff facings, though. That's going to be the problem. Where we see Zolaria and the rest of the team lined up, two different angles and two different choke points that they're going to have to be trying to monitor, and two different teams going to be approaching at almost the exact same time, while we do have Kopernik Pizza that's going to be coming in back behind it.
Still a couple of squads, as you mentioned, in the zone right now. But it's not the worst. We are bots in trouble. Switch POVs right there into the team attacking. That's Zelbalia, who will find a kill. Trying to finish off the Cossack. There was a player right behind. Not sure if they noticed it. And now there's a little bit of damage there. There you go. Longbow shots hitting, cracks the shield, but Zolaria will pull away. They'll realize, why not? The zone moving in, we can kind of just have the Storm do a little bit of the work for us, Matchroom, and I appreciate the patience. They'll lose Benimaru, though, to a shot, and I think this will be Zabalea's cue to kind of continue to get out of there.
Yeah, they've got to retreat. They are also going to have Kopernik Pizza that's going to be making the push into Benimaru, as well as the other team at roughly the same time. Kopernik Pizza does spot out big damage to start this one off. Already got a read on where the other two are going to be. Spray's going to connect, get even more. This is fish in a barrel. There is nowhere to go. Kopernik Pizza is absolutely vibing right now.
Woo-hoo-hoo, CEP, another one on the hit list from Kopernik Pizza. They are absolutely destroying any team that they run into. What a great performance from them so far today. Damn Justice. Serving Justice in all of those fights with the car. Felt like he didn't miss a bullet.
Oh my god, Zolaria is trying to run, but going to lead them into another squad. Remember Guillermo, we saw just a second ago, took a ton of damage.
Uh-oh.
Now could see, can they finish off the last couple of taps? They are so close, but that's so far away now.
I love that moment. I call it a hat trick if you can get all three in the air before you fall down. I have to reference, something of my love of soccer and football. We've got the World Cup been happening all month. Kopernik Pizza, though, only competition they care about is right now, where Mr. Namka just trying to stay alive. It's good stuff from him, though. I mean, 7th position, it's not easy. This is going to get even harder as the team that's been really rolling through the lobby is in front of him.
But I like this. Namka is just kind of like using them right now. They're clearing the path, and so Namka's just using it to buy some placement points. Issue is he's got to walk around that corner, and they're going to see him in a second.
No, you bring a great point, Matchroom. Sometimes you don't want to show up. You don't want to show presence. You want to play small and let the other teams distract for you.
Sneak in. Depends on if anybody is watching over here. Is the Pizza paying attention to what's going on behind them, or do they have their sights set up on the front? Looks like they are all eyes into the circle. So Namka's going to be playing back into this one, and he's going to find a sneaky spot as, they're going to start making the press in, and he does manage to get away with this one as it's another hard shift to the south. My lord.
Yeah, this keeps going south and south and south. And this is a circle that is going to force even more movement. That zone 4 pull, as we continue to see in Apex, is the most important, and that's where teams have to kind of hedge their bets in some way to decide that, even if it doesn't get to what we're expecting it to get to, can we move? Do we have a route? And I feel like Kopernik Pizza taking the opposite way. We're just playing edge and rotating, and we're taking any fight because we're winning every fight. So they'll be comfortable that they're going to have a good chance to take down game one. But still 5 squads in their way, including January, 23, Eigel, Sad Tryhard, and Leffa. We haven't seen much of them, but they're holding a pretty good spot, and they have the high ground to come in from. So in a few boxes to play, Matchroom, and I think that's there's a decent move they can make here.
Yeah, there is a team that is entrenched that's got an eye on them, but they are paying attention to the East right now. So January can kind of sneak into this one depending on if a firefight happens, because Griamore is going to have to deal with what's going on with Pizza that's coming into the East. So with that distraction, you can see Griamore is going to walk in and then get spotted out. With this firefight, that might allow the movement on the opposite side of it. Covered Pizza, but just very separated out. 2 members over on one side, a good flank position on the other. So Griamore is not going to be too long for this world. While they do have position, Rosé has got to get out of here, but now it is also going to be on the opposite side in the West, has spotted out the approach as well. So Explosion's not going to be enough to cover it out, as really it's just teams kind of counter moving around this terrain piece to see if they can get vision.
And trying to take this high ground too. You can clear off the back. The bow check bow comes out for Snorlaxia. You spot the Rosé. No angle yet. He sees one down, just looking to finish off and get the KP for his team. There it is. That's the poke. Rosé doing everything that he's can just to try to buy some time. He knows that if his teammate gets finished, it's essentially over for their chances of somehow pulling out a miracle in this game. And so fighting for their opportunity. One Dun Aqua will go out, though, to Copernic Pizza. And who else will be on their list? 2,500 damage so far from Damn Justice. 6 kills, 4 assists, and only 4 squads left. This is looking like Copernic Pizza are off to an incredible start, but still in the bottom corner. Look at that. Mr. Namka alive, hiding out.
It's the way you keep your points per game up, man. This is it right here. Not Valorant, but sometimes it works, right?
Crazy to see. I mean, we don't play. This is why they're so successful, even when things go really poorly for them early on. Able to somehow make lemonade out of lemons. Copernic Pizza just adding more to the tally. This should be another 2 to 3 kills for them, as they'll definitely get Eigel. January 23, the team we were talking about. Can they rotate? Oh, it's tough.
I don't think so. We can see the fact that Copernic Pizza actually, who would have thought? We got another Southern shift into this circle, so that does favor their position. They're the only team that's inside the zone right now, and Namka has the capabilities to backstab, so 2 Minute Esports is going to have to deal with 2 different threats at the exact same time, and this is going to spell doom, as they're going to be running right into the waiting arms of Copernic Pizza.
Yeah, Namka's just trying to play them off each other. I mean, just try to be the least threatening person. I mean, second place for you, that's an extra 2 points. It could be some extra KP if you help get it down. I think Namka just waits for them to start fighting, but 2 Minute Esports really, really comfortable. Namka going to have to move first, and so that's the problem. Who decides? Does 2 Minute Esports get aggressive and move into the building or move into the territory that we know Copernic Pizza is holding? Because that's where they're going to have to go. Can Namka sneak in behind? I think there's going to be a chance for him to stay out of line of sight, because it feels like they already are feeling threatened by each other.
Oh, this position coming out from Justice is going to be good on one side of it, but is going to reveal him to Namka. Namka might actually just choose to see if maybe he can wait, use the ring itself, see if maybe that's going to force a fight, and then just send it over. Because with the amount of kills we've seen Pizza get, I don't know if Namka wants to push it, but actually, yes, he is. He's going to move forward. He realized where Damn Justice was positioning at. He might be able to flank in back behind, so the X Factor that was going to be coming after 2 minutes a second ago might instead finally be coming after Copernic Pizza, and I don't know if they're going to be expecting this one at all.
I think he's just waiting for the fight, and now they're not really going to be aware of where he is. And I think this is a smart move by both teams. You're playing into what they want. They're not going to worry about a solo. They're going to worry about the 3 in front of them. And so Mr. Namka playing this perfectly for We Don't Play. Already a 3rd place. That's enough. Could it be a 2nd? It looks like it will be at the very least, because I see Damn Justice and 2 Minute Esports going down. Look at this. Mr. Namka able to come in. There's one player here, Matchroom, that actually has full health. Mr. Namka might just be able to do it. Copernic Pizza will take the dub, but it was a valiant effort from Mr. Namka. It's all KP, though, to start the day, and that is how you want to kick off your Master Circuit wildcard number 4.
No matter how you slice that pizza, that was a very good game. Damn Justice pumping in some ridiculous numbers inside that game. I cannot wait to see how the leaderboard's going to stack up, because we got to see the dichotomy on how you get to play Apex. 1 kill heavy, getting control of the circle. Then we got We Don't Play, that's just like All right, bad early game, time to salvage.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly why we love Apex. That's exactly why when you play Apex, you get that feeling of, wow, I mean, I almost pulled this off. What a moment. It's the adversity that people can go through in these times and how well they do it that really inspires, I think, gameplay moving forward. And for me, Mr. Namka, even though Copenhagen Pizza, I mean, they had a lights out game. Let's just say they had a lights out game. I think they're going to have maybe 13 kills, Matchroom. That's an incredible showcase for them. But when it comes to what Mr. Namka did in the situation that he lost his teammates, I mean, to me, that's making a bad situation an incredible situation. And that's hard to do.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's all about keeping your points per game up. Sure, winning a game, getting like 13 or somewhere around their kills, that's great for your points per game. But also, it's learning to salvage bad games. That's the secret to winning at the end of the day, is if you still have a bad game, but you can still walk away with like around 10 points, that's not even really a bad game.
No. That's a great game. I mean, that's a game that you'd be happy to have. And that's the incredible nature of a smart player and what they can do. It's not just about your gun skill. It's not just about your legend composition. There's so many variables that determine whether you are a good Battle Royale player. I mean, Copenhagen Pizza, though, you know, this moment right here, you said shooting fish in a barrel. They certainly carried a lot with their gun skill and their ability to fight. I don't think they were losing any fight that they had the entire game.
This is just the description of momentum. We talk about it a lot in Apex, and, you know, like getting that vibe in, realizing the fact that all your shots are connecting, getting like the shields up in a better position. I mean, you can see they just understood the map and they were playing it time and time again. They understood the angles to play from. Look how they were just lined up against that box, so that way they were covered on one angle while taking out a team that had to play from the opposite angle into them because of another team lined in. That's what you need. You need to have full-on awareness on what's happening at all the time. As yes, this did come down into, I believe, a 1v1, and it got close. But at the end of the day, it's going to be Copenhagen Pizza with a big game. What is that? 17 kills?
Yeah, it's 17, and that is going to put him at a 29-point game. 3K damage, though. I mean, just look at that. That is hard to drop in a pub game, let alone a tournament. Wow, Damn Justice putting on a show.
That's not like blind spraying. That is efficient shots the entire of the way through that one. All I can say is, damn Justice, that was a good game.
You know, it is true. It's not damage that was just a charge rifle sitting in the same spot, poking, pressuring, prodding all game long, kind of easy, free damage dealing while they're leveling their Evo shields. This was on the run. This was in the fight. This was in the thick of things with SMGs. That is an incredible number to put up in game one. I mean, almost where do you go from there? That's my question. As we take a look at the leaderboards with We Don't Play, One Done Aqua, Zalbalia, and 2 Minute Esports rounding out our top 5. It's 5 points, though, for new TSM in January 23. You can't really get mad at that, despite, you know, considering they weren't really involved in that final circle. So overall, I think we had a couple teams show up. 13 points from We Don't Play, and just Mr. Namka, though. That's impressive.
Also want to give a shout out to We Are Bots down there at bottom. Only have 2 players. Always respect to teams that are coming in, competing, and the players themselves are wanting to try to improve. It is scary to drop into a tournament with just 2 players, automatically coming in at a disadvantage. But that shows heart and a desire to want to improve, to become a better player. And so massive respect. While it's not big on the leaderboard, you are winning my heart right now, and I do hope that your third comes in sooner or later.
Yeah, you know, we've seen this happen with PlayStation tournaments sometimes, and it has nothing to do with the tournament. It has to do with sometimes the players actually have real life commitments that they need to have a 2 show up to kick off the tournament, and then that third joins them. We see it actually a lot. Maybe they end up having a trio at the end of this one, but right now, as a duo, that is very, very impressive. We've seen chats of Pulverex at LAN because, of course, people want to root for the underdog. So definitely, We Are Bots. I will be looking at you, rooting for you if we can. But yeah, Matchroom, you know what? Let's kind of get into your general thoughts of the pacing of game one. What did you think about it? I mean, was this a little faster than expected? How did you feel kind of the tempo is so far in this tournament?
I felt like this was going to be a much slower opening game, but I think that with the hard shifts down into the southeast repeatedly, that led into a couple. You mentioned it. One of the things about Broken Moon that can be quite problematic are the choke points. The cliff facings can be quite cruel depending on how the circles lined up, and we saw that's what ended up happening. Is I think it was on circle 1 that popped in. It was you had that little bit of a crevice that was coming in where all of those teams ended up being pulled into the death funnel that came into it. Yeah. And I don't think that anybody was expecting it to be as violent there as usually we tend to have much wider wraps. Not this time. Everybody beelined it in, and that made for what, 5, 6 teams all up on top of each other.
Yeah,
surprise.
You know what's weird too? When you talk about, I would say, the differences between Storm Point and Broken Moon, and I had given you this question earlier. I feel like World's Edge, there's a lot of building fights, and when you rotate and you know a zone, you kind of know when you're able to play a building and when you're able to hold. When you see Storm Point, I do feel like this is maybe not going to end out of a building. There's a lot more of even decision-making on what legends do we bring, because we know a lot of these zones end outside. They end in this open area. For me, Broken Moon's a mix of that, because we saw 2 Minute Esports holding that building, but then the zone, like you said, swung out south again, so now they actually almost have to play this high to low incline outside space, and they're sitting in the building thinking, well, this is where we wanted to hold. The shifts and the changes with the terrain, I think, create maybe a map that you have to be the most flexible on, Matchroom, in terms of how you're deciding to play that circle.
I do agree. I think that's a good way to describe it, is you have to showcase flexibility a lot. This doesn't have anywhere near the amount of buildings that we've seen in some of the other maps. It's a much more terrain-reliant map, I guess is a good way to look at it. And that makes for... you have to be versatile. You have to figure out where the circle is going to go. You have to see where the advantage is. High ground, we always know, is a king position, as Obi-Wan has taught us well. But inside of Apex, it has a lot of extra advantage in there. So having an idea on where the circle is going to go is where you're going to see a lot of favor. I mean, we saw it inside that last game where Pizza realized, hey, let's play against that southern wall, keep our backs safe. Nobody can flank in back behind us. And then the circle pulled to them on top of that. So they had high ground, safety from behind up until Namka did the flank, and just vision for days and control. Once you get control and you're setting the pace of the game, the rest just is shooting, and that's the easy part.
Yeah, that became, Copernic Pizza's the God spot, basically. That became the absolute spot that you wanted to play in that map. They had it. They won it. To me, I'm always saying, okay, that's step number 1. We get God spot. We have a good game. We win the game. We don't make any mistakes. We don't let it go to second place. Mr. Namka doesn't come and take us down because we weren't paying attention to the solo. They, from start to finish, put together a complete game. That's a great sign. I think going into game 2, Matchroom, if you do that, there's a lot of confidence. And to me, what it says is that we didn't let it slip. There were a lot of moments that we got aggressive, but we still reined it back in. There's moments we could have been overly aggressive, like we even saw We Don't Play do. They were in Terraformer, could have kind of gate kept a lot of those teams, decided to push.
True, actually.
And then had to back it up. They said, oh, we made a mistake. Copernic Pizza put together a complete performance. That's got to mean something heading into our second game here.
There is something to be said about that, is that if you can thrive in the chaos like Copernic Pizza was doing, because there was a lot going on inside of that firefight, and that's where they picked up a vast majority of their kills. Sometimes teams can be, especially really good teams, can be almost formulaic in their approach, and the chaos of what can be Apex can throw them off of their game, or they can move into something that's entirely unexpected. Sometimes just being in the thick of it and being able to just ride out that wave of chaos and exploit it is its own merit. So we'll have to see, is Copernic Pizza going to be able to, is it all part of the strategy? Was it riding the chaos, or was it just a fluke moving into this next game? We're going to have to see, and can they prove it to us?
All right, let's take a look here. We are bots. Another thing I like about them that you had mentioned, the squad, Lifeline and Caustic, saying, all right, let's pick the duo that can get us the best cover, the best shielding, and the best revives on each other while allowing us to still fight if things do go awry. So I love the decision-making there. I'm a big fan of seeing Lifeline more in competitive too, Matchroom. I don't know how you feel about the legend that was once probably the most popular legend in the entire game. Having a shot at competitive, and I think she's actually got a couple of things that are really nice.
Yeah, there's specifically in situations like this, woe be to if we see bots get the circle and you have to push where they're going, because that's going to be a very bad day for you. I will say I don't necessarily miss the hyper tank meta of the early ALGS, but I do like the fact that she's like, whenever we look at Lifeline, there is still some play positioning support. Caustic is kind of my, I wish that we did see him more, but I understand why we don't. Caustic is such a, a personal love of mine. You know, he's
Matt,
just fun to play.
You know, you had me until you said that, okay? Because Caustic, to me, I'm giving you a hard time here, but Caustic to me, I'm so glad we don't have to watch Caustic cast anymore. I'm happy about it. You want to bring it back? Come on, tell me why.
No, I'm not saying I want the Caustic meta back. I just want him to be able to have a niche spot inside of everything. Because, you know, not liking Caustic is really toxic in my opinion.
Fair. You know, listen, I'll be toxic for that because to me, Caustic is a character very much like Gibraltar, being very seriously. Like, I was very excited when they had their heyday, and I actually really welcomed it when Caustic first came in. And I think it was Alliance and Amia who were playing with. I want to say it might have been. I don't know exactly. I'm trying to remember the player who brought it in. It might have been Hockeys. It might have been Vives. Whoever it was, they brought in and pioneered this Caustic meta, and it stuck, and it worked for so long. But then just like, you know, Watson, who's coming back, you know, she took a break. She wasn't around, and I think that's the health of the ecosystem right now. We're seeing kind of a new heyday for Horizons and Bangalores and Seers, and eventually it will shift. You know, where will it shift? I don't know. But I always welcome the change, first of all, because I think that's what keeps the game fresh, you know?
I like the fact that we're leading into a faster, more, I guess, information-driven meta. Tanky metas are, I can just take a lot of hits, I can survive for a long time, and sometimes, I'll be honest, you end up with teams that survive for longer than they should just because of their legend selection. I like the faster, direct approach that what the present legend selection is, because we know what's going on, we know to make the approach, we get the damage, we pop the shield, and we go. It's not a entrenched play. So now, like, that was one of the big problems is whenever we were looking at the tank meta, we didn't really get a chance to have a lot of like edge play come into play. You didn't let people like play around the ring. KP was something more that you just kind of like walked into rather than chased down. And I prefer a meta where aggression and logic wins over just survivability. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah. And, you know, and there is something to be said, too, for those who are interested in, you know, heavier legends coming into the fray. I think that there's more wiggle room in terms of how the fight is going to extend and how long it's going to go. But in my opinion, it means that you have to be more tactical in how, you know, if everyone's got a 200, 300 health and you're all in the same spot, how are you going to get the edge? So you have to be a little bit more tactical. You do have to have strategy since, you know, some of maybe your team fighting or your ability to burst a team, now it's useless. You know, now it's not really available since we're all sitting in a building Caustic barreled up. So how do you find a way to get better? I think there's something interesting there. I tend to agree with you. I like the aggressive stuff. I think it's more fun to watch. And we don't play. They got a lot to prove. I mean, this is not what I think Romeo Plays and Mr. Profin thought about their first game, sitting back and watching Mr. Namka rat and almost steal the glory. They want to get out there. They want to fire those weapons, and they certainly are. It seems like they've got a team on the run. And if that's the lifeline, that would be We Are Bots that they are taking down here.
Oh, We Are Bots. Your life is going to continue to get worse, it looks like, especially if you're going to be landing next to We Don't Play. We Don't Play again, moving into a very aggressive positioning. They're going to have Toucan for the Hakims. That's going to be to the north. I think that we saw us taking some shots. Pauli as well. There are 4 teams around here, but I don't know if we're going to see too much. North and South do get eliminated by the Hakims, who saw what was going on over here. Chased down. We Are Bots also getting eliminated. And it looks like we're going to have another fight now breaking out, as it is just... This is kind of what I was expecting more from We Don't Play. Find somebody, go for a fight. Find somebody, go for another fight. And it's not the dominoes of 10 million people going to third party this time. So this is the way they want it.
Romeo Plays falling yet again, though, and I think We Don't Play doing a good job of stabilizing with the Bangalore smoke, and it's easy if you're fighting from range to be able to take advantage of that, knowing someone's not going to push you. But Romeo Plays probably wants a better performance so far today than he's had. Been down twice in these fights, trying to find some kills. Mr. Profin has 2, and they're going to continue to push uphill, despite maybe running into another team, because there are 3 teams in the vicinity, Matrim, and so I think keeping this range, just pressuring out at the R301 and looking for something like that. They found it. D. Smathini will fall. That's the first kill. We don't play. Feeling good about that, but still want to retreat as the Bangalore Rolling Thunder lands in front of them.
Yeah, don't overpush it. That is the biggest problem with playing an aggressive meta, is sometimes you feel you can go too far too fast. And it is the Akeems, the inadvertent, I guess, rivalry that has kind of developed over the last couple of days as the Akeems do manage to get in. Blue Shields, though, they've got to play this one carefully. Looks like they're just trying to smoke off some vision for the time being. While this is going on, we have to be careful. Rose could be coming in back behind this one, as well as this is starting to turn into another big problem. The teams, though, trying to play it more aggressive. Spray's going to be coming out. Ahmad's going to be taking a lot, trying to find him, but he's going to go down. That means We Don't Play is going to make the push.
Both players showcasing a lot of really good dodging of the bullets there. Unlike what we saw there, Mr. Profit hits nearly every one. Both had to reload last time, and so that just shows you Ahmad of Akeems actually showing some nice 1v1 potential. Just went up against a player who hit a little bit more, a little bit sooner. Romeo plays now off of being downed earlier, finding his rhythm for the first time, and with an Arc Star, decides to go just get this KP, because that's what they know is going to help secure this fight for them. Don't give them a chance. They've also got armor swaps. They've got resources. They can play this slow. And unfortunately, Wanda and Aqua is back, and they have their sights on We Don't Play. So playing slow, it worked for a moment, but not if some other team shows up and says, well, we want some of this too.
Oh, no, and there's even the potential for another team that I think that just heard this off to the northwest as well. We Don't Play, now starting to be in the thick of it, having to be very, very careful. They do have some defensive lines that they can play from, so it looks like they are just going to go ahead and retreat more over into the east. There is a team that is coming in from over there as well. As you can see, Zalaria and the rest of their squad going to be coming in, but I think that we're starting to see some calm before waiting for the next ring to pop and reveal itself.
Cue the fighting.
I mean, it's always the way it works, right? You say, oh, I think it's going to chill out for a second, and then suddenly it's just like you see two squad play.
7 ultimates drop. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I do think, though, we will see, you're right, a little bit more calm if you compare to what happened a minute ago, where there was nonstop fighting for about 3-4 minutes here to get us down to 10 squads. But look at this zone rotation. Matrim, I mean, talk about a southern pull. We just see more of it.
This is, again, another death funnel up in the northeast, as all of these teams are going to have to rotate near each other and fight the whole way. Also did want to point out, Kopernik Pizza, while you had yourself a great first game, you were already out, so We Don't Play. They have managed to get some control over this area around them. You can tell that they've got some space. Nobody's really wanting to push in. How are they going to exploit this? Is this going to become a wedge that's going to charge towards the circle, or is this going to be going after more KP? Because, I mean, We Don't Play can pick it up.
That is a tough one to swallow with Kopernik Pizza out.
Yeah.
After such a good game, you got to sit back and watch We Don't Play. What you would assume in second place position, now only 16 points behind, maybe catch you in the standings. It's a frustrating thing to do. I think a lot of people don't understand the personal element of sitting and watching 30 minutes without being able to do anything, especially after a game that you just won. I mean, there's the human factor of frustration that starts to build up, and if you do it 2 games in a row, and you're basically not playing for almost an hour, it feels like, before you get into game 4. And so Kopernik Pizza have to perform next game, I think, if they want to stay in contention. We'll have to wait and see, though. New TSM, We Don't Play. Moonstars, all teams in the lobby. We Don't Play, picking and choosing. You're first, they say to Leah. And Mr. Namka wants some more. It's a Valkyrie. Sits down immediately. Mr. Namka on the car. Takes down Zalaria, too. Looking for the third to try to wrap up this team fight, and we'll find it. But, wow. We Don't Play. Back on form so quickly.
I love fights around this building, as we are going to see Isabella go ahead and get eliminated. It's such a fun building to fight in due to the way that all the angles that can be approached. And so coming back into the northwest, we've got another fight that is starting to bruise. It looks like it's going to be New TSM versus the Hakeems. The Hakeems are going to make a run out into the ring, but it has been spotted out. And are we going to see New TSM chase, or just kind of let them go on their merry way? Looks like they're going to go ahead and let them wrap, and so Hakeems are going to wrap around to the north, then to the west, and come back into it. So New TSM might be able to cut them off.
I mean, you know, it's something they could have tried to do. I think New TSM, I think, make the smarter play here. They've got an ultimate, right? They've got all their abilities up. Shield batteries, flatlines, all level 2. So I could have seen it happening. Moonstars Gonna eliminate RGB there. It's a good start for Moonstars. But yeah, to each their own in terms of how you want to play that gatekeep style. Sometimes a gatekeep isn't worth it, particularly in this moment because they're all outside of the zone. I think if that was going to happen, they would have been more comfortable keeping them outside of maybe South Promenade at the top or the northwest of where the zone actually is so they could know they're safe. Maybe grab a building. But, yeah, that, I think was a little too risky for the Matcherman. Team that doesn't really mind. Oh, and has another way to get around quickly. A skyward dive from Valkyrie. We haven't seen many of those today.
Yeah, it's the kind of the nature of the beast is it's so hard to get information. It feels like every POI in this map is kind of its own contained thing, the way that the cliff walls and facings have come into play. So really, whenever you make the jumps, you're jumping in so blind that it can be terrifying. So you can see that a lot of times it's just a jump to somewhere that you've already kind of scouted out. So that way you're just saving a few seconds here or there instead of jumping blindly over a wall and, I guess, maybe into 3 different teams of gunfire. So we'll have to see how that goes. Yep, we do look like we're going to see new TSM does manage to spot out Hakeem's on their second approach.
Ahmad Hakeem is actually up here, maybe in the skirmish or the craziness that happened with Wanda and Aqua showing up in that earlier fight. Hakeem's have been able to stabilize, get Ahmad back up. Or maybe they were able to grab the banner and regroup as a 3. This is a good sign for them. Ahmad on the gold. And they're just going to now get ahead. And I like this play. Toucan trailing far behind. They throw down the exhibit, so they've got the information. If anyone wants to run through, they're going to see him coming. And if they want to crouch, well, they won't see him, but they won't catch up. Benefits of that ultimate, that direction. And actually, Ahmad looks to maybe even throw the Rolling Thunder, realizes I think they're going to be outside of the range, so it's not really worth it. We don't play. Still holding down the same building, which has been sieged, except just more south on the map. They find another team to go through.
This continues to be my favorite place to watch firefights at. There's something about the fights there that are so dynamic. Looking in, looks like Toucan is trying to make a run in, but guess what? We're about to have 3 teams in this position, so while we can see that Ahmad is going to be playing down in far south, they've now moved in, managed to leapfrog over what was going on with new TSM. We do have Fake Taxiing crew that's going to be coming in back behind this one, so 3 teams, Toucan already separated, getting pinched by 2 different teams, and he's going to go down because there's not much to be had, but now it's going to be the Hakeems that are going to be trying to come in back behind this one. Maybe they can pinch the team that just took down one of their teammates, but I don't know. That might be overextending, and I think that they've realized it as well. Instead, maybe set their sights back into the circle.
Yeah, I think it's worth a couple of bullets in the magazine, too, from Ahmad to just destroy the exhibit. I mean, it just eliminates the comfort Wanda and Aqua has of knowing that if they're pushed, they're going to be able to get that first shot. Now they don't know, so they use an ultimate from Fake Taxi 2G, and I think that just baits out a nice piece of utility that Wanda and Aqua would have had heading into this next fight. So, yes, they get the kills, but they use a lot to do it. We don't play on 5 kills so far, and that is a good start for them. They've got all 3 alive, too. You would imagine having made it into the zone, they are starting to become the favorite here, especially with Copernic Pizza out. But still a bit to do.
Still going to be the Hakeems. They can find no safety in a circle. Even though they finally managed to get here, they're going to bump into January. This is going to be on the western part of the circle, so Hakeems are just going to make a send in, trying to get as close to center as possible. But guess what? It's going to be Moonstars as well as We Don't Play. They're going to be playing on the eastern part of this one, so all 4 teams trying to fortify up. Back behind this one, it's going to be more Fake Taxi and the rest of the team that are going to now be moving pretty close to where January just came in. So if January has got their eyes too set on the circle, the tunnel vision might come back to bite them as this squad could jump in right back behind.
Game 2 here in our Master Circuit wild card for EMEA. And we have a great opportunity here for all of these teams to showcase themselves and continue to do so. We don't play a team that has been dominant last wild card. And this final one before the grand finals in January. They have not won a game yet, but hey, it's only game 2. It may seem like I'm not giving them enough slack. Well, that's just because of how well they've performed. They don't have much. And now on reds and a purple, this is a team that is, you know, in a really good position utility-wise, too. And that's not what you want heading into the zone. They're starting to grab the high ground, and they're just rotating to the backside as well. It's going to mean no one can really you know, they could play in front of them, which is such a big deal, Matrim, and not having to worry about anyone behind and, you know, keeping all of your enemies in your line of sight. That's a big quality of life there.
And also pushing down. We've got two teams that are holding down the compounds in position. I believe that it's 2 Minute Esports as well as Moonstars. Looks like we can see that with the rotations coming out of this one, I think that they saw somebody, and it was going to be Fake Taxi and the rest of his team that moved into the north. So I like this from We Don't Play. Shift back in, see if they actually did the full wrap around. If not, move back down into it. Because pushing those compounds where we see those two teams at, that's so hard, especially with the way that like the tunneling structure works over here. Instead, just kind of hang back and see if somebody else pushes it and tries to breach in and you exploit that. I think that is a safer strategy.
Yeah, and where maybe we saw We Don't Play get it too aggressive, I think now you're seeing them show some patience. Just want to make sure they're fighting in front of them, having a good opportunity to win what is there, not trying to rotate all the way south and then west and then kill 3 teams and then end up in the final zone after getting 9 more KP. And, you know, that's the mistake they had made. So now they're showing a nice evolution of their strategy. January holding one of, if not the best building to hold in a situation like this. You've got a lovely little head peak at the top of it. Grenades coming in. So the team across the way not giving up, not in the least, but it's going to be tough to win a fight from this. Both teams, great opportunities to do damage and not really get pushed.
So January, what are you going to do? The ring's coming in back behind you. You've got pretty much all of these, I guess, donut buildings that are going to be held down as teams are going to be pushing in from one side of it. Looks like we're going to see January try to make the run across the opening. And, catches his foot on the wall there for just one moment. Ooh. That's going to be enough to make this problematic. But with now these shots coming out, that means the teams are going to start getting some vision on the other side of this one, maybe using the tunnels. Now, we also have Moonstars hearing what's going to be happening. They've got an eye out, though, as it's going to be We Don't Play that is going to be pushing their side of it. January, though, they're having to just jump through all of this train piece to train piece. This is a rough rotation, but they're at least inside the circle now. And, I mean, that's something, but you can tell it's not a comfortable something.
I was going to say, Igel, better be careful. The riot drill from Mad Maggie, who's been played on top. I love seeing Maggie in this. I think it's Flojo and squad who are rocking it. But still, the fact that any cover that you have, it's not safe cover. You can't guarantee that cover. But this is going to throw a wrench in the plans. Actually hit someone with that smoke. And so it's on directly to a team. He'll get that notification, and he'll know, all right, shots should be flying that way. Playing just outside of his ultimate. So they'll at least buy some time. It's 40 damage, too, as they've decided to move out at a terrible time. And now they get the down on a Fake Taxi 2G. We Don't Play pushing in for a little bit more damage. Mr. Nomka wants to barrel stuff him. And so close to doing so. The gravity lift takes one up. And the black hole keeps them down. But Mr. Nomka rises to the top anyways. And now they've got a really good spot just to be able to finish this team off in front of them. Still 6 squads remaining, but it could be 5 here, as they will take down Fake Taxi 2G, and one Dun Aqua will be eliminated.
All right, so now we've got control. Hard shit finally popping into the north. Moonstar has started to stretch out, and they are in circle as well. But whenever we look back down into the south of it, you can see January is still trying to make their approach around Moonstar, so it looks like they're going to be pushing into the side that might be the pathing option for Moonstars as well. So they're going to get eyes into the donut, spot out one. Bullets are going to be exchanged between them, but now with the high ground advantage, there's a little cover to be had inside of it, so the dance is going to start popping off around this location. With the firefight now starting to happen, the other two teams that are going to be playing over the west look like they might be trying to make a move of their own, and don't forget, We Don't Play has vision on this, so January has to play this one slow. They have to play it patient, and they have to play it with control, even though they absolutely do not want to right now. They can feel the pressure mounting.
January 23 know that there's an issue. It may not have a great answer on how to solve it, but they're going to try their best to do so. Moon Domino inside goes for the quick res. Kyoto has to hold line of sight here. And there it is. There's already going to be a really nice use of the gravity lift just to make sure no one comes in from the door. But on the other side of things is the problem. That's where Domino takes most of the damage. Kyoto takes it too from the storm. He's going to get the one little knock there, but it's not enough. Do they have an armor swap? No one pushes into the building, Matchroom, and so now Domino is going to get this battery off, and what can you do with an R99? That is going to be the question. It's a 1v1. He'll get one more KP. Oh, and now Moonstars get eliminated. There's another player from We Don't Play who makes themselves present in that situation.
We've got a heaven and hell situation going on where we've got We Don't Play now moving aggressive, gets control over the top of the donut as well as getting kill leader. January is going to go down, but on the opposite side, playing down inside the trench, we've got two different teams. We've got Hakeem's trying to cling to life, but with a smidgen of vision. You can see that it's going to be Ahmad moving down, looking into the opposite side of this one is Mantuman Esports just getting ripped apart inside that tunnel. We Don't Play, got control. They're just looking into it now, hitting, already burned past the shields, but got to be careful. Amon might be moving in, and yes, is moving in right back behind. We Don't Play. The rivalry continues.
My goodness, could this be another moment from Mr. Namka? Absolutely not. Hakeem's tried. Ahmad gave a valiant effort, but it was over before it started. And We Don't Play will bounce back in game 2 with a win, right where they feel they belong.
I see what you did there. We'll get in the jump pad, bounce back in. I like it. Okay, so We Don't Play. First game, not necessarily the best, only getting second in a couple of kills. This time, it's kind of more of what we were expecting. When with Coppernick Pizza going out, this means the fact that we might be seeing, again, a We Don't Play more sided day to day. Who's going to be able to throw in any wrenches into the works is happened last time. Let's see if it happens again.
Yeah, let's be real. You know, losing most of your team and then Mr. Namka setting the tone there. You said Coppernick Pizza set the tone. That's great. They did in game 1. What could they do in game 2? It was disappointing. That's the problem. It gives you hope that they played a perfect game, but it ends up being that they showed a little weakness in how they were able to respond and be resilient in game 2. We Don't Play with the exact opposite. They have a tough game 1, but then they show resilience in how they're able to bounce back. And it's not like these fights were given to them. I feel like Mr. Profin had to do some work here. Ahmad definitely dodged a lot of bullets there. Mr. Profin comes out on top. This was a skirmish between 3 or 4 teams. Even one Dun Aqua came in at the very end of it, but We Don't Play somehow make it through the gauntlet. And that's a testament to, as a full team, why they've been so successful in this Master Circuit.
That's one of the things that We Don't Play does so well. We were talking with Girl about it last week, is a big part of playing Apex is understanding the risk-reward situations, understanding whenever it's beneficial to push, whenever it's beneficial to stay, and constantly doing those calculations with all of the information going on. We Don't Play always just knows the pacing of the game that they need to be playing, when they should be moving fast, when they need to slow it back down. The tempo in which they set is a very... I don't want to say it's erratic because it's not. They know exactly when they need to move and how they need to move. It's just so concise, I guess is the best way to say it.
That's a great way to put it. I mean, you're right. The decision-making, it's extremely efficient, and they also know exactly when their moment of opportunity is, and they seize it. That's something that I think as a player and as a team, you kind of learn the basics of when you start competing. As you can see, it's more than basics. It's mastery here. 7 kills amongst 2, Mr. Profit and Mr. Namka. Another 3K for Mr. Namka. Romeo plays 5 kills as well. That is an insane game. A 31-point game from We Don't Play. It doesn't get much better than that.
I mean, whenever you're putting up 31 points on a good game and you're getting second place on a salvage game, you can see why we're talking about them so much, because they don't play. This is all science to them. Everybody else is playing Apex. They are mathematically working it out, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, Einstein and his students at this point in time. I wonder if we will see, I don't know, I keep seeing clips of the show called Young Sheldon. I don't know if that's a good reference or not. A young Sheldon appear, or if it will still be the sensei at the top, where there has not yet been a graduation of wisdom. I'm not sure anyone's going to be able to catch We Don't Play with the way that they have played so far, but Coppernick Pizza certainly have a chance. They got 1 point last game after winning and getting 29, I believe, in game 1. Hakeem's, they've had consistent performances. They've gotten 11 points off of their placements. 5 kills is where they probably have to step it up, and you noticed Ahmad taking a tough fight against the other team who was getting the most kills in the lobby. We Don't Play, so maybe changing that. But one Dun Aqua and 2 Minute Esports rounding out our top 5 matchup.
I mean, 1 point separating out the Hakeem's, one Dun Aqua, and 2 Minute Esports right now, just 3 points back behind them for January. We're starting to see some usual suspects popping off in like the last couple of teams alive inside the circles. I want to give a shout out to Hakeem's that they didn't have the best start a couple of days ago, and they were down towards the bottom of the leaderboard. They're rectifying this time around and learning. So while they aren't in that really competing for first and second yet. They are still holding down a strong third, but they have got to be careful with what's nipping on their heels. Went down to Aqua. Also playing very, very clean in a team that drops to the north and has to rotate down to the south very, very far, right next to We Don't Play twice in a row. Got to give them credit for managing to still hold down fourth.
Yeah, it's been all Southern Circles, and it's been far Southern Circles, really sharp pulls, and that has made it very interesting. I wonder if it pulls north or if it stays central, what they'll have to do and how they'll take matters into their own hands in terms of being able to rotate in this way. Remember, if you want to catch the action, if you want to be involved in this and sign up for our Master Circuit in the future for Apex Legends PlayStation tournaments, check out compete.playstation.com. That's where you can sign up, see what's available, and check out our schedule of events. Like I said, last one for the year, but in January 7th, we've got our grand finals, which is where right now these teams are looking to qualify. That's going to do it for game number 2. When we come back, games 3 and 4, before we hit our final game 5 to determine who's going to the grand finals, who's winning the cash today, and whether We Don't Play can put up another stunner. We'll see you in just a moment.
PlayStation.
welcome back to PlayStation Tournament's Wild Card Saturday. I'm calling it Saturday because it is Saturday where I am. Maybe you're watching across the pond, really far across the pond. I know some of my friends are in Bali, Australia. Maybe it's another day there. I don't know. But in California, it is a nice Saturday morning. Matchroom, it's great to be with you here. Rain Day Matchroom on the cast today. We've had some great games so far. It has been We Don't Play Central. It's also been a nice start from Kopernik Pizza. We've had some good moments across both games, though, to give both teams, I think, a light at the end of the tunnel.
We Don't Play, though, has been point sponging up everything. That means the fact that other than really them and Kopernik Pizza and what's going on, the rest of the leaderboard is pretty compacted. Opportunities just a kill here or there can swing you multiple positions. I mean, looking down, new TSM is still just 1 point behind, going up into 7th place with Zabalia. Just one kill is really going to influence a lot, as we still have 3 games to go in a high-pressure 5-game day.
Here's what's amazing. When you look at Kopernik Pizza and where they are, one big game did that to them, right? And now they're double. I mean, if these teams stay at this pace, 2 games, 16 points, Kopernik Pizza basically have to just do okay for the next to stay pretty much in the money, and that's an amazing thing. One game can turn it around, given this format where top 4 are actually in the cash prizing. Obviously, all of these teams excited to be in our grand finals January 7th, but you got to say it just takes one game. I know that a lot of our squads will be looking to find that one here in game number 3 on Broken Moon. What's been the tale of the tape so far here in Broken Moon? We've had Southern Circles, but has anything else caught your eye in terms of themes we've been witnessing and how these games have played?
Hardships, I think, is the real big factor to look at.
Yeah.
Whenever you see the circle just consistently pulling away from where everybody is, it really does favor teams that are dropping down into the south. That means that it's not necessarily like you're getting circle luck by any means. I know that that's a term that's thrown around because We Don't Play also drops over Eternal Gardens, which is kind of northern eastern, and we can see them push down. But for whatever reason, it does feel like the circles like to pull southwest on this map.
Wonder if that's going to be something we see today here in game 3. It'll certainly mean something very important for these teams. It was in an interview that we had with NRG Sweet, something he actually, instead of thanking his friends, teammates, called out some of the developers and said that, I don't know what this is, this game logic, we just did not get any zones our way, and took the time to really say it and call it out and see if there could be some action done about it. I don't know what action there is to do. That's a little beyond my pay grade, but I do know that it can make the difference, Matchroom, if zones keep pulling away from where your team is really expecting them to go. And we'll see if they can handle another Southern pull. We'll see if it changes somewhere else here. That's the excitement of heading in to game number 3.
Oh, it's all the fun of the programming and the circles and how they like to avoid certain areas and obstacles. Most notably, you know, like the game doesn't end with a center on a cliff facing or something else like that. So there's a lot of unplayable
You don't like
terrain.
that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had it happen a couple of times in like the first week or so. Whenever like you just get those really weird circles, it's like I can't even get to where this is at. Those were fun to play. But if you do end up dropping, okay, I'm gonna take devil's advocate on this side. Okay.
Okay.
If you drop in a place that you know has a lot of unplayable terrain, can you really complain about the fact that you're not getting circles? Aren't you kind of dropping in a spot that's mathematically not going to favor you?
I'm all with you on that. I think there's a lot to do with the fact that if you're you got to take responsibility for what you're deciding. Yeah, it might work out for you, but also it might not, especially if you have a way that it can go wrong. So, maybe don't blame the system. I'm always a big understand the system, game it if you can, but don't blame it because it is what it is. And everybody else out there has to work with it too. And so if it's not working out for you, maybe you've got to change your drop spot, something else. I would tell anybody that any day. And so I think you're right. Maybe it's time to look at different drop spots if it's not working. This one, though, Matchroom, kind of hard to tell. Seriously, in the middle of Promenade, we've seen circles shift slightly to the right on that. We've also, this could be a northern circle. We'll have to wait and see, but it won't be pulling to the very south of the map. It still could pull south, though, as we got a few teams as well in the middle of Eternal Gardens.
Oh, it's the tried and true. Okay. We can see the fact that now it's going to be CEP. So, okay, Hakeem's came in. They managed to find some success messing in with We Don't Play in the early game. We Don't Play, though, it looks like they did do their homework, and they figured out how to navigate these early drops more efficiently. They've already moved in, back wall set up, and prepped. and they've actually got a 2-point kill box set up while Romeo is still doing some looting. So CEP, I don't know if you want to push to the south. I wouldn't be surprised if they do a northern wrap, because this did not go as fast and clean as I think that they wanted it to.
Could be interesting to see if CEP finds a way out of this one. They're messing with some giants of the lobby. 13 squads left. That's how much we start with here. If you're just joining us, up to 20 teams. And so this is going to give a chance for certain teams to make a name for themselves. One team that has already made that name is We Don't Play, and they're looking to continue showing us the reasons why. Oh my goodness. Mr. Namka basically switches weapons, and in each magazine takes down, in essence, one player from CEP. That was beautiful. And with an alternator to boot, that is how you get it done. We Don't Play. Certainly not going to worry about anybody else contesting them in Eternal Gardens for now.
Yeah, okay. I don't know how this developed here, but CEP, I don't know if you saw that Hakeem's did this last week, and it kind of worked for them. Or if you didn't see it and you didn't realize that We Don't Play was probably really pissed to get hot drop 2 games in a row, so probably came up for a strategy with it. But I don't think, I wouldn't be surprised if We Don't Play thought that was the Hakeems and were like, no, not again, and instantly went after him.
Well, what a great showcase, too, of just the efficiency they're rocking. Yeah. It's easy to take a fight. It's not easy to use one magazine, take one player down, second player approaches you, and essentially finish that player too, albeit needed a bullet or two more. That's plenty for his teammates to be able to handle. I just love how aggressive and confident they are. And it's a refreshing thing to see. It's just a satisfying thing to see. The rest of the lobby, though, I don't think they feel that way. But look at this. Hakeem's getting into it with one done Aqua.
Yeah, and also to the south, down around, I believe it's Foundry, we might have a fight that's going to be breaking out as... Oh, yeah, we don't get these in competitive enough.
You know, I actually forgot about this the other day, that the mechanic of finishing somebody off gives you your shield back. We don't see it in competitive. It is not a smart thing to do. It obviously takes you out of the fight, but there's a rare circumstance when you have such an isolated situation like that where it's a really efficient use of not having to get a shield battery, not having to pop shield cells and carry those into the late or mid game to be able to support you better there. So kind of fun to always be reminded of the mechanics in Apex. So many things have changed over the years, and some things they're there, but you don't get a good opportunity to see it. You get to see the finisher right there.
See, I love how you're going with, like, the scientific reasonings behind it. I'm just a sucker for it. I'm like, I don't even care. Just get ready to res me, guys. I'm committing to it. I'm going to do the finisher. That's the way it works with me. It's more about it's sending a message.
If I'm ever finishing someone, it's like a salty finisher. It's definitely not scientific. It's like, I need you out right now. You're blocking too many shots with your shield. You're being too much of a nuisance. Just leave. Just leave. And TSM just leaving around the bend themselves. Getting fired at. Reaper in his best Matrix impression.
It's kind of
so
interesting.
So far, it's a pretty good one.
They're the ones that moved into this, and they had to assume that somebody dropped over here. So it looks like they were wanting to be the aggressors, but just well done. The opposite side, Color Bucket and the rest of the team responded in, moved in closer towards cultivation. And so while, yes, Foundry is new TSMs now, it's already been looted, and this is going to be kind of hard to move into. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. They're just going to have to cut to the east and probably wrap around this.
I believe that's RGB that is in front of them. And, yeah, it's a tough spot. They did move into this. They might have been looking for loot. They also, on Blue Shields, know that taking a prolonged fight right now may not be a good idea. So they're just going to try to get ahead of it. I love this play from new TSM. If it does work, hey, they get height. And I think that's what they wanted. They could have gone past, but I think they realized, hey, let's just have a better fight and be able to play from up top. Now they got to hit their shots, though. Reaper with focus of attention at the ready. Actually misses most of them there. You can see Color Bucket swinging away, and they've just swapped Matron. They've swapped positions. They swapped high ground and low ground. This should benefit new TSM.
Yeah, this fight is still continuing to go on. It is pretty close to the circle and ring itself, so not too much to worry about. New TSM, though, now in that gatekeeping position. Looks like they're still trying to exploit, but cannot quite find the thing that's going to start off the fight for him. Reaper taking a lot of damage as well. That's going to slow them down. This is a lot of, I guess, shield generation that they can potentially see later stages of the game, but they're not getting too much out of it. Maybe the bait and switch gets some damage out, but that's going to be one member down. Can new TSM continue to do manage to get the shots off? There you go. Reaper gets one. He's taking a face full of damage, gets off a lot of his own, but what can Kaz do? He's the last one up.
My goodness. Where is Kaz? I mean, I feel like that anchor play, it just came a little late. There were so many good moments that happened. Taking down nearly 2. Color Bucket and Crystal about to fall. New TSM miss out. That was just, I think, bad team fighting there. They had a great couple of shots, but Kaz, Baiku had to get into the fight. They had to full commit. The rest of the squad was. So you're just delaying the inevitable if they both go down and you're standing there as a solo, and that's what happened. Color Bucket, they get aggressive. They do go down, but they fight as a team, and they make it out alive.
Yeah, that was a disjointed fight coming out from new TSM. One was moving in while another one was holding an angle, and another one was holding a side angle. I don't know exactly what happened there. I guess because they were playing on backside of those rocks, sight lines were blocked out, and so it took a second to get back into position. But we don't play things, and surprise, surprise, they've managed to bump into a team, and it's actually going to be 2 teams. So I think at this point, if you're going to come into this area, you just kind of have to assume that we don't play is going to be here, right?
Yeah, I mean, and if you don't, well, you might be in for a big surprise. I'd rather prepare for the inevitable versus pretend that it's not going to happen. And 2 minutes left here on the circle. This is our slowest game thus far, Matrim, and I think that probably is telling us something about the way that it's pulled. It's pulled south, but it hasn't pulled so south, and I think that has ultimately been what has forced these teams into making more aggressive, faster rotations. Seems like now we've got a chance, you know, production yard, kind of the edge of Promenade, down where you see RGB, Color Bucket, and Squad having fought already, where they just took down new TSM. All good spots to play. In fact, I think that might be the best spot to play here because you can just face the entire zone and clear out your back. They do have a team who's skyward diving in behind them, though, on our map, even though you can't see it at home right now. So there could be an interaction like we saw with new TSM and RGB going on with a new squad there.
Yeah, Circle did lean into that southwestern area, so we still have some of Production Yard in play, some of Promenade. Most of our teams are playing the eastern part of the circle. Really, the western half is entirely open right now, so Promenade looks like it could be a hot spot to party here in just a little while, as it does look like we're going to have Sad Tryhard and his team moving forward. Coppernick Pizza, you can still see, is playing pretty far out to the east of this, as they are holding a gatekeeping choke point, but they do have Rosie and his team going to be coming up, as well as We Don't Play back behind it. Coppernick Pizza looks like they have planned this one out, getting some shots in. Good damage. Are they going to get the knock into it? And trying to be careful. Coppernick Pizza looks like they're going to use it. They say it's enough to go.
Coppernick getting in there. Snorlaxia not falling asleep this time around, despite the name's sake. Maybe putting a few to rest as well. And certainly a heavy hitter. Still, that pressure is going to force that team out of that building, and Coppernick are going to be okay about it. Guess what? On the other side of it, though, slow your roll. It is We Don't Play. You can push a little bit. You can bring some teams our way, but that's going to be it, Coppernick. We've taken you down once. You're second place. We're first. We'll take you down again.
One Done Aqua did manage to jump kind of around what was going on with Pizza, get like more to the south around them. They are in tatters down there, but Coppernick Pizza now finds themselves pinched, and it's a bad place to be against the team that you just managed to charge in onto, and then We Don't Play. Both are going to be coming after you and wanting to get your kill points.
There it is, Coppernick. On your screens, big fighting here for some of these teams, whether it's establishing your position, whether it's rotating in late. You can see that's exactly what's happening now. A skyward dive, possibly on the books for a couple of these squads. Round 2, the zone will not hurt too much. The Coppernick Pizza, they want to run it. And again, I like this play too. For me, if you're in second place, Matrim, you got to start managing the game because you're in game 3. This is a bit of a swing game here. You can either go and kind of increase that lead. You could fall behind yet again. Right now, they've got basically 0 points, no kills, 1 point for making top 10 to 15. I think just staying alive, the Mr. Namka special, get into the top 5. You know, make it so that even if a team has a good game, you're still getting 5, 6, 7 points. So it's hard for them to jump up in the standings on you. And right now, it's going to be the biggest test for Kopernik Pizza.
They're moving in, and because of this, what happened with We Don't Play, they're coming in late. We Don't Play wrapped in around to the west and is going to be coming in. So now, Kopernik Pizza is going to be moving into a position where 4 different teams are going to be at. Gate kept out by, what, 3 that are already inside of a firefight. We Don't Play playing this one aggressive. They just want to get ahead of the ring itself. 2 members now going down, just 1 up. Mr. Puplin, though, do not finish out. He will go for this one, getting the shots into it. It's going to be January on the other side. Already takes down 1. Can we get this one? 1v1 coming out, and We Don't Play gets eliminated.
Wow, what a play from January. They take down the leaders in the lobby. I did not expect this at all. And now everything has changed. It has opened up the top spot, but it has sent a message to the rest of the teams that We Don't Play are not invincible and that you can make a climb and a play for first. Wow, what a moment. We Don't Play. We'll have to sit and watch the rest of this game. And it's Kopernik Pizza who won game 1 after We Don't Play went out early. Can they do it again? They've made it through the gauntlet. They're going to run up against Griamore, though, and the Rosé, who are actually still fighting as, I believe, a duo here. They're just going to try to rotate. There it is. That's that damage from Griamore.
Gotta be careful. We've got a lot of solos and we can keep coming in off of that one. King Stefan going to hit the shots onto an RGB. Not quite done yet. Sitting on purples now. We've been seeing them in the earlier stages of this one. They did manage to extricate themselves from position. Now playing over into the east, just taking pot shots into what's going to be going on. And so with this, now Kopernik Pizza is going to have to retreat into the north, back into Rosé, back into Amore. And this is going to cause them to have even more problems moving back into Promenade.
I really like RGB's team fighting today. I really like the way that they've positioned themselves at the bottom south part of the circle. They have no one who's really going to challenge them here. I love the weapon choice as well. They're kitted with the Ranger 3 times. They've got the 2nd level magazine for the Scout. I really like the way that they're playing, and you could tell they make it very hard and end up, if anything, not taking down, but essentially eliminating a lot of the big chances that we saw Kopernik Pizza have. That's Laia Catalia going down to 0TV2. Some fighting happening in the circle, but that's it. Kopernik Pizza going to go down to Rosé and Griamore. I mean, that's basically all because of RGB.
There is one player still up for North and South that is moving in right back between these last 2 members of One Done Aqua with these shots. Andrew, he's going to reveal himself. Oh, he's going to take those shots wild. He was not expecting them to come back around that corner. But the distraction might be big because what's going to be going on, RGB was the one that was taking the shots and what was going to be going on with One Done Aqua. So now One Done Aqua has to retreat. Andrew's, he's still having to move this direction. He's going to get spot out. He's going to go down. But now that's also going to draw Moonstar's attention.
Yeah, Andrew tried to pull off a miracle there. It just wasn't going to happen. Not in the cards for that play. Rosé Griamore doing well. They've got 4 kills for One Done Aqua, having lost Fake Taxi, but this is the problem. This is the team that I think has been team fighting the best in Game 3. It's RGB. They've already won once. They helped take down what was Kopernik Pizza. Now they're looking to take down the other squad, who is a duo here, and as they should. The Hemlock is hurting here. Rosé, we saw him get aggressive, and they certainly are in a bad spot. Both teams have to move the Ash Tether coming around. Will it hit Griamore? Could be assigned to play. It will hit. No grenade follow-up, though.
Slow and steady, yeah. I mean, there's not a lot that can be done over here with the circle that has now moved back into the southwest again. RGB just kind of gatekeeping out what's going on with the tail end of this one. I mean, they've got the angles into it. They don't have to over-aggress this one, but Color Bucket taking a lot of damage, going to have to step away. Looks like Griamore is going to try to move forward and use this opportunity. Is Rosé going to be able to come too?
I think that was a tough one. Stefan going all the way to the low ground. This opens things up for Rosé and Griamore just to get out of there. So well done by the duo. One Done Aqua taking a nice performance here in game number 3. I've seen a lot of good signs from both of these teams towards the back half of this lobby now, improving and taking fights really intelligently. Great foundation to build upon.
Gotta be careful.
5 squads are here.
Yeah, Moonstars have like a very high ground position to look into what's going to be going on. It's not inside the circle though. So it looks like RGB is going to wrap all the way around the south. There is a smidgen of the area that they can move through, so they're going to be coming into that one. 2 Minute Esports, you can see, are kind of holding the high ground right now, but they've got a lot of attention of their own, so they have got to play this one carefully, as all the teams are going to start being focused in on their position. So they have got to exploit this high ground and try to make sure that they control that low ground around them. You can see that's going to be NK also. That's going to be his job, is he's kind of roaming around down there to provide some support.
2 Minute Esports, yeah, they were locked in that building for a while in game number 1. Ended up not really being able to do much with it, but it was a valiant effort. They clearly are playing for position, and with the Mad Maggie, they have the aggressive opportunity that I like to see some teams who do stay in more of a conservative style express. Because, yeah, you're conservative, but what happens when you have to fight? And you've got to somehow deplete the resources of these teams who have been edge fighting, like RGB, like Grimoire, who have had access to so many different pieces of ammo, of utility, of shield cells. And so they're making sure that Mad Maggie gives them a chance from range to be safe, but also be aggressive.
Okay, Moonstar is going to go ahead and regroup. There is one member up for the Akeems over here that's causing some problems for our One Done Aqua teammates, so they're going to find some problems. Akeems do get eliminated, but it looks like Moonstars are going to be trying to exploit that one. Do get some vision in, and it looks like they're just going to be trying to pick up some free KP off of it, finish that one out. And now it's going to get to be even more problematic, as this high ground arch is an issue to deal with, as the certainly does have, again, another Southern shift, as finally One Done Aqua is going to go down.
Yeah, and that was a great performance from One Done Aqua. They'll certainly have gotten themselves some decent points there, at least 4 or 5 from the placement. And now we're in our top 3. Moonstars with the RE45. Kyoto doesn't miss much, does he, off of that one? And they'll claim at least 7 points in terms of a finish, but could this be 2 Minute Esports his day? I love Nero on the Maggie. We've seen them get 3 kills already. They have high ground, and they are in zone.
I mean, they're doing it. I was worried because this high ground and how much attention it would be a problem for them, but they're holding it down. You can see that nobody can approach in. RGB's having to just cling to the other side. Moonstar's approach, though, looks like they might be favoring into that low ground, which means that they're going to be moving back into RGB's backside. Yeah,
Moon is in an interesting spot because despite, being on the low ground, they're in the zone. The other thing is that being on the low ground, typically a worse position than the high ground, but not if the two teams on high ground are going to fight each other first. Low ground might just get you out of their line of sight and their thought process. It doesn't seem to be happening right now because King Stefan's super aware, doesn't want anybody to jump up. But if there's enough damage done on top by Nero and squad with the Mad Maggie forcing them away, Stefan's going to have to jump back up and support his team, and that is going to be a bad spot for them. So if I'm Stefan, what I actually think I want to do right now is go back with my squad. I think it's not worth pushing Moon unless all 3 of you commit. And the zone is going to allow all 3 of you to coexist in it. So it's really not worth taking the risk of losing you. And this might just be what they're doing. You can see some movement up on top. Moonstar's just holding the area.
It's because
RGB
of what we're
actually
seeing.
Rotating left.
2 Minute Esports has come in, and they just dethroned this position. They just jumped up. They flanked in onto this one, realized that they could exploit the split positioning. So now 2 Minute Esports moves from one high ground to the other, and now everybody else is down in this lower positions, just trying to navigate, find some type of safety, as RGB is just sending it right into this compound. Beautiful spray is going to be coming up, but 2 Minute Esports still just dominating this position.
I'm not sure if they're in a better spot right now, though. Nero obviously trying to push the envelope, and I think they should. With the Mad Maggie right, they've got a lot of damage. This is not the team that we need to look at right now, because even though Moonstars is alive, there's an engagement going on above that is going to determine what happens with Moonstars. And so you can see it right here. There's the gravity lift. Who's going to hold? Color Bucket just trying to hold inside with King Stefan claiming that top. They are in, though, and this is a big deal. This is that riot drill I mentioned. Look at the damage that it's doing right now to them, and it's also every bit of space is something they need, Matrim, because they can't afford to get pushed out of the narrow channel that they already have to play with. A Skyward Dive? Really? This is an interesting choice, and it's going to mean Flojo actually takes his eyes off of the prize, and 2 Minute Esports lose 1 right there.
It looks like it was just one for a distraction. Moonstar's going to follow up with the other two right back behind that one. They're trying to see if they can harass to try to just reposition around, as they have managed to at least get over here. And with this, it looks like RGB is trying to influence and move back into this position. 2 Minute Esports, while they did get control over this top, Moon came in and really set up a problem for him. Color Bucket's already taken a ton of damage, and now it's going to be 2 Minute Esports trying to retreat, already having 2 members down, and now it's just a big NK. The spray's coming out. Moonstar is now coming back behind this one, and it is just everybody trying to exploit the other movements of the teams around them. Moonstars, though, coming up on top of it in control, and now just one up for 2 Minute Esports.
Love the play from the big NK. I mean, that is how you do it. Your team is basically forced to take the fight. Moonstars come in, and they're clearly going to be the winners of this lobby. However, 2 Minute Esports survives long enough to say, okay, you knocked most of us down. Moonstar's going to push. Let's get second place at least. However, it was all Moonstars, baby. That low ground, I told you, it's not always the worst spot to be. They take game 3 here, and that'll put them in the running.
That was just very efficiently played. They realized where the weaknesses were. They figured out how to exploit it. I love the distraction in using the two-pronged, I guess, vertical assault there. I don't know how else to describe it. Send one person up to be a distraction and then send the other two right up on top of them. I want to see that being done more often. That seemed like that worked pretty well.
You know, that was that was a strange one, and I think it was a dynamic that, you know, both teams have to look 2-3 steps ahead. It's very difficult to do that, and that's kind of the difficulty of the Battle Royale scene. Excuse me. I almost was going to sneeze there. I don't know what came over. But, yeah, I think the dynamic of the Skyward Dive, the black hole while it's happening, gets you looking up. Now have the damage in front of you. Have to deal with this. Have the pressure. I liked it. I thought Moonstars distracted well enough. But it was just the patient game. And RGB and 2 Minute Esports, they were just swinging at each other. They both had the high ground. Nobody wanted to share it. And eventually they pushed each other and cornered themselves. And it didn't work out for either of those teams to do so.
Yeah, that's the game of chicken, isn't it? As it always feels like the first one to make the move is probably going to be the first one to die more often than not.
Yeah.
But really, it was Moonstars that was the first movement inside of that, but then instantly kind of disengaged and then instantly re-engaged. So it was like a bait and switch to draw out the chicken from the other side.
Yeah, it really was. And that's the dynamic that, you know, you have to be very, very aware of 2-3 spots ahead. We win this fight, we push RGB. What do? We corner them, right? We take their spot. Now they go and take where we were. But now we're in the middle, and as Hodzik, coach of Team Liquid, says to us all the time, you do not want to be the meat in the sandwich. You want to be the bread. So they became the meat. And then, obviously, at this point, you think, well, there's an advantage. But 2 Minute Esports now give up being able to play with everyone in front of them. And that's when Moonstars has the moment that they can rise up to claim. However, this is that great moment, too. 2 Minute Esports, they finish the fight. They go back down, and now Moonstars is looking, and that gives them a second-place finish. It was inevitable at that point, Matchroom, but I think it was a really good play for Moonstars just to stay out of it.
I mean, in order to get to the inevitable stage, you had to, like, start kicking the dominoes over. Like, usually, like, we'll see the dominoes fall as one team jumps in and another team jumps in, and it becomes the fourth and fifth party. This one was more just like a going up and hitting the wall in the room next to the dominoes to make it kind of like shake enough to fall. And I heads up play. That was really, really smart. Not the biggest damage numbers, but they couldn't really. That's not fair. They were in the low ground and having to play defensive for so long.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't a great, you know, opportunity for you to flex your damage because you're playing strategically. You want to get the win. You want to get the points. And what it ended up costing them in terms of kills and damage, they probably won back in just going from 7th place all the way into first place, which means, 3rd place into first, meaning they go from 7 points to 12. That's an extra 5. That's essentially like wiping both of those teams without having to do it. Plus, they get the KP on the way from winning that final team fight. It's a good 8 to 9 points that they claimed as a result of being patient. And look at that. It's put them right in the mix with being 3rd place to Kopernik Pizza, who gained only 4 points in that game. We don't play. Look at the eliminations. 5 eliminations there. They don't add much to the placement points, but it gives them still a bit of a cushion, 17 points at the very top.
Just look at that. We don't play going out kind of early allows for all of a sudden the entirety of the point sponge being gone, and everybody shifts up in some fashion and manages to find some kills, find some security inside of it. Kopernik Pizza cannot rest on the laurels of game number 1, but I also do like the fact that earlier this week, We Don't Play managed to pull off a hat trick of 3 games in a row, but we're at game 3 now, not a repeat winner yet.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's surprising to me. No repeat winners when you look at this lobby and you look at We Don't Play, and the fact that they haven't won twice, it's a sign that maybe I was a little too early to give We Don't Play their flowers in this game today, and I just think that they are absolutely a great team. Obviously, they're really high performing.
They're at 51 points too, but
yeah, I mean,
you're
they're going to do well.
But they're not winning everything. How dare them not
right,
win all the
right. Well, I think that's also, I think that to me, and Matchroom, what do you think? I feel like it means that there are some teams really having a good day today that I didn't expect, surprising me in a very positive way. RGB, Moonstars, 2 Minute Esports, really putting up some good performances.
Well, I think it's also that the lobby is realizing the threat that We Don't Play is, and I was making a joke last time, is like, if you're going to rotate into that area just to the west or the southwest of where Eternal Gardens is, you have to make an assumption that We Don't Play is going to be there. If you haven't noticed, there tends to be about 4 teams there the past couple of times that are like, we are pretty certain that this is going to be the way that they path into this one. And I mean, that's what you have to do. It's not like they're teaming. It's just everybody realizes this is the threat. If I want to have a good game, they've got to go down.
Well, you do mention this, and for fans now watching Game 4, you got to pay attention to that northeast side of the map, and I think that is where you're seeing, yes, that clump of 4 or 5 teams who end up inevitably having to rotate south with one another, and the person in the choke point, the person who gets in and out of that fight, the person who stays in zone longest, comes in late. I mean, there's so many different ways that they're navigating it, but ultimately the rule has been, if you can make it out of that, you have a really good shot at getting into that top 3. So that's really where most of the action I'm going to be focusing on is for Game 4. And getting to Game 4 too, Matchroom, this is the swing game. I talked about Game 3 being a swing game. In a way it was. You could tell we got teams now pretty much from top to bottom who are in the mix for any position here in this lobby. But Game 4, that's where you set up your last ditch effort. You can't do more than probably 30 points in Game 5. So how well do you put yourself in a position to succeed in Game 4?
Well, it's also the gamble game too. Like if you're going, like if you're low on the leaderboard, this is your opportunity to go, well, what's the worst that could happen? So you end up with like this dichotomy of weird stuff that can happen where somebody's going to be going for the biggest game possible, and then people on the low end of the leaderboard are going to be like, let's see what we can do. Let's see who can kill. And sometimes we see somebody that's like in those bottom 4 spots suddenly frag out and take down like 3 or 4 kills, or 3 or 4 teams just because nobody was expecting it.
Yeah, it's the unfortunate run-in of opposite circumstances and divergent needs, right? Because
that's a good way to describe it.
Yeah. You have a team who wants to stay at the top, who knows how much it matters, and who's playing with caution and poise. You have a team at the bottom who knows if they don't get a 30 bomb or a 20 bomb now, they might as well not try in Game 5, and so they've got to rush in. They've got to make an aggressive play. And that's what you have to manage in Game 4. It's one of my favorite games, the game before last, the penultimate game of our Battle Royale today for EMEA, our wild card number 4 matchup. Should be a lot of action. And man, oh man, I get very excited just starting this off, seeing not only the legends that they pick, but also where this circle is going to go.
I'm pretty surprised that we haven't seen more of the Rails in EU.
Yeah.
I'm just realizing that now. They haven't been a real factor for today's games at all. In North America, they were much more predominant as people were using them to escape or really even to be aggressive. Here, it's just been foot rotations, a lot of them.
I actually want to look at maybe why that is in a deeper context a little later. I agree with you. This is something that is a big part of the map design, yet it's not really being utilized in this position. I wonder if it's, I think the thing that is a difference between, what maybe you'll see in a PS4 only lobby, which is the great part about this. PS4 only, you see controller players only representing the greatness that can happen in this PlayStation community. But movement and mobility is not as, I guess, prioritized in some of the benefits that you kind of lean into when you are in a controller-facing lobby first, in a game that is very movement-heavy in Apex. And so I wonder if that mentality has kind of meant that they're not leaning as much on the zip rails. They're not leaning as much on the tap strafing, and they're leaning a little bit more into the strategic elements of it, the gunplay of it, as they should.
It's I'm going to be curious to see if it's different whenever we go over to North America again here in a few hours. But looking through, it's looking like we might see Alpha Base get some love. There's a couple of teams are pushing into there. We have seen some separations come out. Backup Atmo's also been getting some love. But Eternal Gardens, that's really what everybody's looking. But with Stasis Array also having a loot location, and again, this fight that's been going on just to the east of it, just to the west of Eternal Gardens, that could be a factor too, as it looks like RGB is eyeing this general direction. They're going to go ahead and get that. Moonstar is going to get to the north and back up Atmo, and it looks like maybe finally we might be seeing We Don't Play get themselves some safety on drop.
As you should. The team that was taken down into Eternal Gardens, realizing it is not worth it. I had mentioned earlier, it's frustrating to go down early in a battle royale. Not just the fact that you want it back, but you want to be able to do it quickly. What happens in your games when you hot drop, you lose a 3v3 immediately? What do? You just be like, oh, well, that was a great day of Apex. No, you re-queue. You re-queue, you hot drop again, you re-queue, you drop again maybe a little more safely. You do it till you get a good game, and that's what I think people who, don't understand. This is a human element, too. They don't want that experience anymore. Leaving We Don't Play alone, it's going to open up some of the rotations for them. It's going to be something We Don't Play have to consider too, because there will be a team behind them possibly, or to the side of them that they had dealt with early that may show up late on the rotation timing, but at least it means that these teams are going to give themselves a better chance to fight. Right now, though, early fight happening with January, who have been a pretty decent performing team. What can they do, Matcher?
Oh, looks like there's going to be the push around. Pistols coming out. This is a low economy fight. New TSM with one down. Looks like they're trying to hunt down the remnant. Spray's going to come out and make that 2 down on the side of January. New TSM looking like they're going to pick up what they can, and I think there's still 1 up for January, is hiding out just to the south.
Interestingly enough, New TSM, yes, doing a great job there, but finishing off with the alternator, one of the more interesting points I think we've seen developers make, and it's been a minute since they made it, but was calling the alternator a better performing weapon than at the time, before the car was introduced, the R99. I found it interesting in multiple ways, because the data, yes, described that the alternator wins more fights, but it was just a piece of the conversation. The context wasn't there. The early mid-game fight with the P2020, an alternator is a beast. That's really what you see. It's in that mid-game that alternators are so successful in the early game. Late game, still, the 301s, the R99s, the cars, they're going to be better for you, especially when you need to hit a burst. And so don't let the information fool you. But always important to note that whether you're at home playing the game or whether you see something on Twitter or Twitch, context is more important than the stats themselves. Correlation, causation, very, very different things. As Wanda and Aqua seeing that the causation of these bullets, hopefully going to take down the player who is pushing Taxi. He stays alive. Has to bat, though, won't have time. It's all up to Rose.
Oh, and this is going to make it even more complicated over here, as guess what? More and more friends on the approach. There's a fight around Stasis. Guess what? That means the fact that we're also going to have We Don't Play coming in. Rose trying to hold it together, does manage to survive.
Wow.
With Hero and no life, but guess what?
No!
And goodbye.
Oh, you hate to see it. Well, at least they got that little moment there.
That's the worst, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you get the clutch, you have like 1 HP, you're like, and then all of a sudden there's just the guy that shoots you and finishes.
Nice try, nice try. Unlucky. That's what I would be telling my teammate. It was a bit unlucky, and it can be a situation where your lack of luck increases the longer you take to finish a fight. That tends to be the case in a battle royale, Matrim, as I'm sure you know, because third parties are inevitable, and even in a map as big as Broken Moon, if you don't finish your business quickly, you got to start deciding, all right, you know what, at this point, shots have been heard. Teams are probably coming up. Do we pull out of this? Do we safely kind of reposition, regroup, or do we all in? And if we all in and we take too long, well, that means another team is going to come up and walk through and gain some easy KP when we had to work hard for ours.
Earlier in the day, we were talking about it is a fast, aggressive information gathering meta, so exactly. The longer a fight goes on, it's just going to lead into somebody wanting to make a play off of what you're trying to accomplish inside of it, especially on this map. Broken Moon feels like it feeds the capability for you to want to be involved and be aggressive. I mean, look, We Don't Play just coming out of a firefight, already finding another one, and by the way, there's Yes, two teams that this team that they're shooting at was shooting at. So we're looking at the potential of a four-way team fight.
This time, though, I think rotating a little bit more true north. We used to see them coming northeast quite a lot, heading into these circles, kind of going through Terraform or Promenade. Now they're at a stasis array in the core. And if they continue this way and they clear this out, this big fight of 4 right here will determine who makes it out alive. If we don't win this, the impact is huge for the rest of the lobby. They will increase their lead significantly, I would imagine, throughout the rest of this game. If they lose, though, here, the door is wide open. And it's a feeding frenzy. Anyone can make a move. Right here, it's good shots from Mr. Namka, and that is a great start to the fight. Dace Matheny will fall just there. Namka doing it yet again. So good with that car in his hand, and the Bangalore smokes by his side. Mr. Prof and Romeo plays, and Namka now on golds and purples. It's going to make this team pushing in even more hesitant as they're holding buildings. And good and well with shielding.
And so entertaining around this fight again. Yet I love these buildings and the way that they just feed fight. The positioning for them is amazing as well, but we don't play stacked up. I mean, look at their gear already at the stage. Damage just being pumped out right now. Namka just destroying. Look, just no fear. I'm going to walk back around. Who needs shield bats? I've got bullets.
I'm not sure my man has healed once. He doesn't have to. He's shield swapped, and as much as you should try to hit those shield batteries when you can, rocking the gold, there's really no need to do so. You might as well hit either a shield cell or shield swap immediately, and that's exactly what Namka has done. It's kept the pace high, and it's given them a couple of more kills. They have survived, although there are still 2 teams in that region who are not fully out. That was Kopernik Pizza, who Damn Justice went down on, and yet Snorlaxia still alive. So there's a chance. There's a chance here for Damn Justice and Snorlaxia to do something. They are our second place team still, but we don't play. Looking very strong heading into this one matchup as the circle closes. Just a moment, Mr. Namka gives you that finisher you like.
I love it. I mean, bringing in some style, right? All right, Snorlax, you can't rest too much yet or get sleepy in and of yourself, as we still do have a squad that is just going to be the West. This circle, though, let's be honest, pretty empty. This has been, what? We have 8 squads left, 20 alive, and it's just been the story of the Northeastern fights yet again, like you were talking about before we came into this game. Kopernik Pizza down to 1, as it's kind of turning into a salvage game in and of himself.
Massive pull. I mean, it couldn't have pulled farther south, east there, so still more room to travel. And the Odyssey, if we don't play, from north to south continues.
Hey, it works for them, right? I mean, they pick up all of their kills walking to the circle, so I guess if, we were talking about, hey, if you drop and the circle doesn't favor you and you keep dropping the same spot, doesn't that mean that's kind of on you? Well, we don't play as like, hey, it's fine. We'll drop over here and we'll just kill everybody as we walk to the circle. It means the fact that we get to traverse the whole map and kill everyone.
Well, we're seeing like a lot of edge teams in this lobby. There's maybe 6 teams now that are outside of it, 2 teams actually in the zone. The team that has been so consistently in the zone that I've got a shout out here, Nero, Flojo, and the big NK. 2 Minute Esports. They are a hard zone rotating team. We find them in the zone nearly every game. I think they also land in the south, though, so zones have benefited them from kind of finding the space early. Matcherman's holding the space and really not having to do too much. Had they started out in the north and had to make that same type of rotation, I'm not sure they would have been there, especially since they don't have a skyward dive. They don't have that fast mobility. So, yes, beneficial moments for 2 Minute Esports, but they've taken advantage of it. I love the Maggie. I think this is why it's also opened things up for We Don't Play, because we have many teams that are in their way, and We Don't Play are just so good at rotating. They're going to pick up so much KP. If most of the teams were in the zone right now, We Don't Play wouldn't really have anyone to fight, and they also wouldn't have a lot of spots when they got here.
Well, here's the question: it's like a double-edged sword, right? If you're the one that drops really far away and are having to chase a circle, it means the fact that you're always moving, your comms are always good, your hand's still hot because you're having to fight the whole way. But if you get circle, sometimes it's its own curse, because you miss out on the capabilities to get some KP unless you leave the safety of the circle. But then you feel like you're passing up like free position points. But then you're also passing up KP. You're also not as active. So you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes you can get a little bit weak on gunplay because you haven't had a fight in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
What's your preferred way? You prefer the safer positioning style, like the circle comes to me, great, or the circle goes away from me, now it's just time to walk my way in style?
if I designed a squad, it would be a more aggressive squad. Typically, that's my style of play. I do enjoy that more, and I also feel that that's what you want to do when you have a team. What's the natural inclination? People like his Watson on Furia in the Pro League, they naturally incline, him and Panders and Zeraturkey, to being an aggressive team fighting squad until you play to your strengths. But, you know, if I'm more of a consistent zone fighting team and I trust myself, I trust also my patience, my decision making, then yeah, I would want to rotate early. For me, though, I'd choose the aggressive side. I'd be more on the we don't play side. And you can see, when it does work, it works really well. And yes, you can have those early games you go out, but I think ultimately, from a high level perspective, you can win the biggest when you play like this. And, oh, God, now just add an RE45 into Namka Profin, or now Romeo plays his hands. It's not looking good.
Well, okay, multiple kills now starting to come into it. Looking in, unfortunately for everybody, We Don't Play is kind of contained by themselves, just Snorlax being one of the closest members to it. We do see that Atmos Station has been getting all of the love, as most of the teams have moved down very far to the south, but that's also why we're seeing some of the fights. Mentioned a second ago, 2 Minute Esports. They've got control over the Atmos Station and kind of watching what's going on over here, seeing if they can make sure to keep control over this area. It's going to be Moonstars that are going to be on the opposite side of it, as really this is potential for a third. It looks like Maroon and his team might be coming in back behind Moonstars to create its own problem.
Zabalia. Nice little finish on the Moonstars. Kyoto, still a member of Moonstars, alive. The big NK and the rest of 2 Minute Esports from on high, firing down below. And it's such a good spot for them, such a tough spot for teams trying to rotate now late. We Don't Play still at the very north edge. It will pull even more south, so they will feel perfectly content to stay where they are. 2 Minute Esports. Zabalaya will have to just try to find some place to play, and you know there are spots here that are unoccupied, and so it's not the worst situation, especially arriving so late.
The issue is that they don't know, but with our God eye in the sky, we do. They're playing the northern part of the circle. And guess who's going to be coming in most likely from the northern part of the circle? And that's going to be We Don't Play. Yeah. So while they do find safety for now, it could be its own problem. Looks like Leafa also going to be rotating up into that pathing. And it's kind of weird. We have 7 squads alive, but nobody is shooting. Nobody has clean vision. Everybody's playing for safety right now, and here comes We Don't Play. They're going to be the X factor to shake it all up. As guess what? They're jumping right onto who's it going to be? Yeah, it's that compound team. We Don't Play jumping in. Says, yeah, there's probably somebody here, and it's going to be Zabelia that they're going to be going after.
I mean, you can't lose this fight. You're high ground. You're letting them just outplay you. It's not a matter of position or strategy. It's just hitting more shots than you. This is definitely tough. Moonstars, as they fall in your kill feed, just open up more of the door for We Don't Play to extend their lead. Mr. Namka really not scared. Loses about 100 health there on the gravity lift, and we'll get it right back with a shield battery. But now with the smokes covering the vision, you can only expect that they're going to start to get more and more aggressive. Just going to wait for one more battery, one more shield crack, you would think, and maybe not even wait for that at all. And I think Zabalaya can figure it out. Is he going to be able to finish it off? That's one. Oh, can he get the brace? Bidamaru's still in the air. Are they going to try to finish it? No, they'll wait until he falls. And that should be another one. We Don't Play. Oh, my God, looking so deadly.
Oh, what do? He's just trying to even get away, and it's not going to happen. All right. Well, now, guess what? We Don't Play has vision of most of the circle. 2 teams on the opposite side. They're kind of holding out and looking around. I do want to point out Snorlax is still alive, but Snorlax is so far to the north, he's pretty much playing the next game. So we'll see him probably about another minute or so.
Oh, man. That's a good one. He definitely is very far north. Snorlax, yeah, not trying to get involved here. I wouldn't blame him. I don't blame him. There's really not much for you. But Moonstars are really good at that. They actually are the team that won based on, or excuse me, Copernic Pizza. You know, they're pretty good at managing these second places and these first places here. So, you know, knowing patience is a big part of it.
Oh, this is a problem. As you have We Don't Play, that's now starting to take sites. It's to new TSM. Yeah, new TSM is going to be looking around, so Reaper's going to go and spot that one out. Lefa, now with those shots, Mr. Namka is going to be coming around. And, man, that's That's going to be hard. I don't know what you do here. I almost at this point, you might want to just think about giving it over to the ring. I don't know.
You pray.
Yeah.
That's basically it. You just hope there's a higher power, an intervention somehow that can make We Don't Play look at somebody else. And maybe you just got it right there. Nero and the rest of 2 Minute Esports are really the other team outside of Kaz Baiku, Reaper, and Itiko, who are in a position to have some type of play outside of We Don't Play in the zone. We Don't Play, though, really, I think the ones looking for the stragglers, the solos. There's Lefa, who they're kind of gatekeeping on the southwestern side. There's also Snorlaxia, who I don't think people realize is there, and you just want to come in as late as possible. I think you'll be able to actually rotate outside slower than We Don't Play and hopefully get behind them, kind of like we saw Mr. Namka do to Copernic Pizza in the first game. So, new TSM and 2 Minute Esports, We Don't Play, the 3 teams that really have a chance here to win game number 4.
Oh, and they found an open angle to assault directly into this. Are you kidding me? We Don't Play. Full aggresses. It looks like they were thinking about playing a rock cropping over to the north, but then saw that nobody was shooting this angle and then just instantly slides in right underneath of this team. That means, in fact, Snorlax will have that easy pathing that you're talking about just a moment ago. But before this last fight breaks out, I just want to say, I know a lot of you guys are watching going, why on earth would I go over to compete.playstation.com to sign up and just get wrecked by We Don't Play? Playing against amazing players will make you better. If you want to step up your game and you want to get better, jump into a lobby like this and be killed 5,000 different ways that you never even knew existed, because now you know they exist, and now you can exploit them as well. So keep an eye out, and hope you guys are learning a lot and having some fun, because it's about to get spicy in just a few seconds. This Lefa trying to move in back behind new TSM, actually right underneath them. You're going to get spotted out. There you go.
Great point there. Always something to learn, even in your losses, especially in your losses. And so I guess the rest of the lobby can take that as a consolation prize. Well, I guess we're learning a lot today.
I mean,
We Don't Play.
We have seen a lot of these teams have stepped up based off of things that they've seen and encountered by playing stronger teams. So that's what you want to see. You want to see it always constantly evolving and all the teams getting better, because that just means that sooner or later it's going to get spicier and spicier.
Snorlaxia trying to stay out of line of sight. It's a Kraber that Baiku has picked up, and I think that's enough to feel pretty confident in the zone. You have the only other outside of 2 Minute Esports that We Don't Play full team. You've got a nice angle. The only problem that I've experienced right now is that Snorlaxia is directly behind them, and they do not know. But this could be huge. They don't hit it, and they could have actually had a big impact on this fight if Mr. Namka went in with only 50 health. Kraber shot still flying away, but I think you're just going to be happy if you're new TSM to let them finish each other off. Romeo Blaze goes down. Mr. Namka, we know he can hit the shots for the R301 and the R99. What can he do here with the car? They're going to find the most tiniest sliver, and they're going to get pushed here, hiding behind the shield. This is not a good spot for We Don't Play. In fact, Mr. Namka is going to fall, and We Don't Play are out. That is a beautiful move from new TSM, who had angles the entire time with the Kraber, and now the Phoenix hit. It's just 2 Minute Esports, so they have to fight, as well as Snorlaxia, the solo, who is still alive over on the corner.
Oh, them sneaky snakes and rats hiding out. All right, new TSM. Looks like new TSM has a plan that might be kind of similar to what We Don't Play did, although that old plan did not work well for them. So, 2 Minute Esports is still holding down to the top of it as 2 different teams are on top of each other. That could spell a problem for Snorlaxia, but good, guys. New TSM going to go ahead and be a distraction down below as Kaz, looks like
Interesting.
We're going to go ahead and get some information out of this. What do we got? Oh,
wow. That really pulled. I mean, interesting stuff. I was like not feeling like that was actually the best way to utilize that, but what I would expect to see Nero actually using a riot drill here. I'm not sure why they're not.
It's kind of I like the concept of what happened, and maybe you could get away with sneaky kill with it, but we'll have to see. That ult might have been useful in just a little while, but I mean, whenever you got Snorlaxia back behind you, I mean, look, he's just coming in back behind us and see ya. He knows what's up.
Yep.
I don't think Reaper or Kaz are going to have any idea that this. They have to. They're the team that left the building, so they know that they should be the third party.
That's great ratting here from Copernic Pizza, a team that actually is in a really good place to take second. I like the Mad Maggie ultimate there as well, trying to bounce them into a line of sight. Maybe 2 Minute Esports just not confident in their position. They're going to isolate one, though, but they've got to watch out for Kaz, who has the Kraber in hand. The big NK going to also follow up. Focus of attention's just a day late and $1 short, but they get enough from Itiko with the car in the air. Nero still hiding into this trailer and hoping that Nero can do enough just with the shielding. Can do one. Has plenty of health here. He's got to hit a lot of shots, though, and it's going to be Snorlaxia who can come in on this. There's armor swaps aplenty, so it's going to be do it now or never. Snorlaxia missing too many shots in the car. The game is afoot, but the jig is up. I think with 3, Snorlaxia is not going to be able to do that. New TSM hold it down in game 4, Matchroom, and that's a great performance from them, getting their first win on the day.
And you have to say that they earned that one. They jumped down, took down We Don't Play of all teams, realizing when to exploit, then also moved outside to make sure that they got control over the circle, and then just waited, made sure to get the shots, dealt with some kind of tricksy ults that really didn't throw off their game too much. But I do want to point out with Snorlaxia could have maybe gotten involved in that fight about 3 to 5 seconds earlier.
Yeah.
And might have actually had a chance on victory. But that's the problem, is whenever you're the solo out, you always want to go for that second place.
Yeah.
But there is a chance for first in those situations if you prep for it.
Yeah, and this is the question. You're getting 2 points guaranteed, or could you get 5 points plus some K? I mean, there's a lot of points potentially, so that's the question. I'm guaranteeing just 2 more points and getting second. I'm probably not going to get any kills, but if I can grab a KP, if I can grab 3 extra points from getting first place, if I can somehow get maybe 2 kills, I mean, that's a huge shift that you're making. I think he made the right play, though. It didn't look like he felt like he was in the rhythm of winning that fight. I mean, those players, those teams, they had been fighting like for now 5 minutes in a row. Snorlaxia has just been chilling, so I don't mind that too. Maybe just didn't feel up for it.
There is all parts of the Valor just coming in and just trying to survive and rat it through as you can. It's not always necessarily about getting the win. Sometimes it's also just about getting damage control, and that's a good game coming up. We were talking about with We Don't Play. Remember how they managed to, I don't remember if it was Namka or who, managed to do a great job on salvaging game 1 whenever Pizza won it. So Pizza also showing the capabilities to salvage whenever they need to as well.
We Don't Play looked like they were going to be the ones taking this game for a long time. I mean, 7 squads left, but they ran into trouble. They looked good here. Yeah, there were 3 teams already in it. I love this moment from Namka. Just lets Binamaru sit, and maybe this is where things get out of hand. Obviously, kind of chasing and pressuring. It wasn't shortly after they would get into a fight that would end their chances here in this game.
I mean, they made a good jump in, but that's the problem. That shot right there is what just did them in, I think.
Yeah. Didn't anticipate it, had nowhere to go, tried to fight as a team, but it was new TSM who I think played this deserving of a win. It wasn't just this last fight, but it was that moment right there, you're right, Matchroom, that sealed the deal for them.
They hit a shot, and they realized this is our go time. We were just talking about it a second ago. Whenever you're playing Snorlax, that 1 to 2 seconds could have actually given them a chance to win. TSM realized right that moment, this is our chance to win. Jumped in, managed to get it, managed to pick up as well. 13 kills? Yeah. Solid game coming out from them, as yet again, no repeat winners yet.
Yeah, but this is, for new TSM, this is a big win. I mean, this is a massive, massive moment. It's not that 17-pointer, you get 5 kills, you get a first place. Having 13 kills means you got 25 points up in this lobby, and you're jumping into contention for second place. Surely, maybe giving yourself a chance at first if it would to go this way yet again. We have to see how many kills that the leaders of this lobby We Don't Play got, but I would feel really good about this matchup.
I got to give a shout out to Reaper there. I mean, look at the damage output. Accuracy at 27%, 6 kills, and 2 revives. That's like a god tier game. You did everything.
Yeah, it's a well-rounded game, right? That's a great way to put it. We don't often acknowledge the well-rounded games, the assists, the kills, the accuracy, the revives. Like, that's just somebody who's feeling it. A lot of times we look at who did the most damage, and then that's basically it. And that ends up telling us the story, but there's so much more when you really do break down these stats. So thanks to our team in production putting that together for us. New TSM will be our 4th winner of the day. And I want to ask this question, see if someone in production can figure this out. How many days have we had where one team doesn't win twice? And I think there's less days that I can remember that one team doesn't win twice than when one team wins 2 or more times. because it is very rare to see such an even, balanced lobby here in this afternoon.
Yeah, everything other than we don't play is still racking up some big points, and that means the fact that they need to go down early if Kopernik Pizza even wants to have a chance at first. But after that, it gets a lot more dicey. I mean, Kopernik Pizza can't really rest too much. Too many esports starting to string together some really good games. New TSM off of a phenomenal victory moving in. Moonstars, who's also just been very, very active. I feel kind of bad for Moonstars being in 5th right now because they've been in the late game and they've been fighting a lot. It's just I feel like they're always the 4th or the 5th team to go down.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell. Look at that placement points. They've got 20. I mean, they're definitely really doing a pretty well-rounded situation. New TSM, though, just with that game, they kick them out of the money, and it was a phenomenal game. That's how important that was. I think they were sitting at least at 11th or 12th place before that, and now they're with, they had 9 points. Now they're 34. They're in contention for 2nd place easily. Probably not in contention for 1st. I'd say Kopernik Pizza, the only team that has a chance, and We Don't Play would have to go out early. They'd have to get a 25-plus bomb. It's possible, but certainly everyone else below that is fighting for 2nd place, which is a pretty big prize.
Moving in, we've got one game left. Ooh, this is... All right, last game before figuring out how all of our qualifications are going to be moving into the grand final. And, okay, wheels off time, or is this play super passive, play super safe? Because it could go either way.
If you're We Don't Play, you could turn, you could close your eyes and you could take a breath and you could just kind of walk around and you're probably still going to get 1st place. If you're any other team, though, it's go time. You cannot make a mistake. If you're in 2nd place, you better stay alive, because if you go down the way New TSM and Moonstars are playing, could easily turn into a decent game, and they push you down, not only out of 2nd place, maybe even out of the money. And by the way, what a day we've been having. This is the only day, I believe, we have not had a repeat winner. If it continues with a new winner in Game 5 coming up very shortly, it is going to be a record-breaking day in our 4th day. I want to make sure you guys all know to go to compete.playstation.com before we do throw to a quick break. That is where you can qualify, you can sign up, and you can be a part of our PlayStation Tournaments ecosystem for Apex Legends or for any of the multitude of games that are within the PlayStation Tournaments esports ecosystem. And that's fighting games, that's FPS games, that's strategic FPS games like Rainbow Six. There's so many different things you can get involved in, and so we appreciate you checking that out. Compete.playstation.com. Join us. We might have you on broadcast one of these days. All right, it's enough for me and at Matchroom. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, our last game. Will we have a record-setting game where 5 different winners? I don't know. I certainly hope so. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to our Apex Legends Wild Card in our Master Circuit for our PlayStation tournaments. Lovely, lovely tournament schedule we've got going on. It's the Grand Finals coming up in January, but in order to get there, we've got to have one more day, and that is today. And guess what, Matchroom? One more game to determine it all. I'm Randy, again, joined by Matchroom, and we've had a great bit of action so far throughout this morning, this afternoon, but it all comes down to this, to see who's going to make it in Game 5.
Will we get history today? Will we finally have a day without any repeat winners? Or will we finally see We Don't Play decide the fact that they're going to sort their authority and try to pick up one? Or Kopernik Pizza, who also managed to make it into second place in that last one, but it's going to be We Don't Play that's up at the top of the leaderboard right now, and then compacted fight for that second place position, really all the way down into potentially, what, 5th place?
Yeah. I mean, you can see the difference, too, in terms of just highlight first and third. Obviously, We Don't Play, picking up most of the kills off eliminations, but 2 Minute Esports edging out We Don't Play with 2 points ahead of them in terms of placement. They've done a better job of getting and staying into the circles. They are a hard zone rotating team, but that's where they lack having those kills. They don't get into engagements as much, and obviously that's suffering from allowing them to really stay in contention in first place. But it does mean that a big game could be upon us. It does mean that they will probably stay in contention for 3rd and 4th, and they're going to have to get really unlucky, especially with how well they place, for another team to overtake them.
So, what do you got? What have you been able to bring? What have you managed to work on? How much homework have you managed to do? What is that last trick you may have in the book? If you're needing to qualify, this is your game. This is the moment whenever superstars can be born and you can prove that you deserve to be in those grand finals. Do you have what it takes? We're about to find out as we move into our very last game of the day.
And do you know that whether you have what it takes or not, the significance of giving yourself a chance to do something that you have not discovered yet about yourself? Meaning, maybe there is a moment that you can be a winner in this game. You might not consider it. You know, teams that I've seen, like, new TSM, maybe they weren't thinking they were going to win. January, a team that's played well. RGB that has fought well. Akeem's, you had brought up earlier. Can they step up and say, hey, let's give ourselves a chance here. We can win this game. Do something outside of our comfort zone, outside of our plan, but still make inroads into where we want to develop as a squad. I love that setup that you did, Matchman. I love just the challenge that is almost present for these teams. This is your moment. This is your time. You got to broadcast. You qualified. You're here. Come on. Make it happen.
Step back before into a little bit more of a chill mode moving into our games. I want to shout out Color Bucket and RGB. I love that name because when your team name is RGB, every single time I see him, I just imagine the little like Microsoft Paint bucket right over his head while he's running around. I'm hoping that's what they're trying to inspire, because if they did, mission accomplished.
Well, RGB and Color Bucket, that's enough for me. I like the Microsoft awareness too. Honestly, I think there's just so much that these teams, when you look at the history of seeing how many teams have competed here in our PlayStation tournaments, kind of set up for the Master Circuit, it's just been a phenomenal opportunity that that Sony and PlayStation have given these players, because why would we be talking about Color Bucket unless he was here? We wouldn't be, and yet this has been such a great and easy way for them to get out into the Apex scene and make a name for themselves, continue their online competition journey, and more power to it. I love that we're able to highlight these players and their personalities here, and they're a team that I think has impressed me. Can they do what they need to do here, getting out of trouble, as we have our first northern-ish zone?
I know. I'm excited. There was serious shock, the fact that we're going into the Northeast. What do we do whenever most of our teams do not have to rotate? Well, we'll have to see how much roaming can be happening inside that. At RGB, trying to make themselves a good last game. Have to be careful. Shield's already sitting pretty good on 2 of their members, but it's going to be Crystal. Still sitting on White, taking a lot of damage as well. What is RGB going to do from this position? Oh my god, there are 3 different teams getting involved in this now.
Oh no, yeah, there's a problem here. Color Bucket, though, at least showing up as the Pathfinder, the fragger for the squad on a purple. You should feel invincible in a situation like this. I love the patience, too. King Stefan needs to be revived, and so they just pull back. And hit some shield cells, say, yes, there's a lot of teams. There's more teams than one actually in this engagement, so we have to prioritize getting ourselves back up to 100%.
This is such a low economy fight right now. This was so fast off of the drop. You can see R99 Devotion, weapon selections, really meds, shield bats, all these things are going to be very just come as you are. If you find one on the floor, then your life just became that much better. You can see King Stefan just trying to med up as they can, but it has slowed down. All three teams are still committed in this position with the potential of a fourth, as it looks like New TSM is also pretty close to this and does hear what's happening. So really, it's all about these tunnel fights, moving into these compounds. That looks like that's what's going to be going on as RGB is on the outside. And yes, here comes New TSM as well.
Wow. Zabalia engaged New TSM on the rotation. Zabalia, I think, thankful to have the high ground. I think a building puts you in a worse position here with the third party approaching because you don't have as many ways to get out, but you don't also have any way to poke until the team is right upon you. So Akeem's maybe in the worst position here. Yeah, still Color Bucket and Squad outside as well. Yeah, go ahead.
They also get a lack of loot. I mean, Zabalia can actually move around and go pick up some more meds or get something else. You can see the fact that they get to choose whatever they want to influence this. And yeah, walk in, Neuron instantly shred one. Here comes the second one. But guess what? Here comes more friends. You got to be careful because TSM is going to be coming in on the other side of this one, and this one's getting chaotic. I think more than they were expecting, is now it looks like Color Bucket and the rest of his team also now starting to play more aggressive.
Zabalia will be the ones in trouble, though. Now TSM is being able to make them the meat of the sandwich, and that's why Akeem's is in a bad spot. Zabalia took that spot from Akeem's, but look at this. Now TSM, New TSM going down. They found one. Is this going to be New TSM going out, one of the winners of our earlier games, our last game to be exact? Baiku hitting the shield battery on top of it all. Oh, and this is a great angle from Baiku. Goes to switch into the car and will do the switch necessary. But don't forget, there's still RGB on the other side of this building.
It's going to be so problematic trying to commit into the res and going to get spotted. Spray is going to connect. RGB looks like they're starting to find that game that they were oh so wanting to climb up the leaderboard. Can they continue the press? Going to try to jump out of position. Shots are not going to connect, but where, oh, where are you going to even jump to? Is remember all those teams we had in the circle just a second ago whenever it spawned? We now have technically 3, but really it's just 2 in a solo.
Wow. Baiku does make it out alive. There's a hope to get banners from Reaper and Ichiko, but probably not. That is a tough situation for them. 2 Minute Esports also have had the comfort of being in the South. I kind of want to bring their story up again because they now have to go the farthest they've had to go in any game. They're a team that likes to hard rotate. They like to get into zone early. They're starting to make their way up north towards the divide, but they're still not in the circle yet. And again, playing this edge gives you some freedom. It could pull south. It could pull more north all the way up to backup Atmo. But I think ultimately this is their biggest challenge. One of the other teams that have won today, now that New TSM most likely will not recover and play as a solo for the rest of the lobby. This is an important thing to follow both of these teams who are currently in the money.
I was kind of curious on which direction that we were going to see New TSM commit into. They lean into the east, so they're not going to go after any banners. It's Reaper's just going to be down and out, but it looks like they might at least be able to get one back in. So, yep. Going to go ahead and pick that one up. And we didn't see anybody really over here at backup Atmo, so we should be able to get some loot as well as, I mean, blue shields and instantly being rezzed is not going to be the best way to handle any fights, but luckily there's no space. We Don't Play is not coming up this direction. Color Bucket and RGB do have to be careful because Moonstars is starting to approach into the north, and really the south is so open and pathable that nobody has been bumping into each other.
Yeah, I mean, it's flip the game on its head. You know, the northern teams have had to rotate, and the southern teams could sit. Now the southern teams have to move. And the thing I'm noticing is that there's less fighting from the southern teams. They're more spread out, but they're also a little more hesitant. Maybe that's just because on today they haven't been tasked with doing this yet, and maybe it's just because this zone is going to tell us a lot more information once it fully closes within the next 55 seconds. It's still round 1. So a lot of information. We know that zone 4 pull is what can really destroy, make or break a team once they've set up. So I like the call as well. We don't play in the middle of it, but for teams on our southern and northern sides, you know, just kind of hold this edge. We don't know if we're going to have to move. We don't know if it's going to come to us. So let's play patient. Let's not gamble too much too quickly.
You hit a good point on that one. If all of the circles are going to the southwest and you play the southwest, this is your first time having to see any other section of the map, and you have no idea how the rotations are going to come into play. You don't know where people are going to be at. So you're now having to do what everybody else was doing on game one, and that's really nerve-wracking. I mean, you are coming in with people having 4 extra games of knowledge on what's going to be happening in front of you, and this is a much slower roll, to say the least, as there is the potential of 2 fights, most notably down to the south and one to the west. And God, the hardships just are going to continue.
Well, I mean, this is good for, I think we don't play for several reasons. They know they can gatekeep right here. There's a lot of teams coming from the south, and they obviously like rotating. They like edge fighting, but they haven't had an edge to rotate to. They kind of started in Eternal Gardens. Now that edge is coming to them. Now the rest of the teams, especially 2 Minute Esports, who are in the top 4, and teams like RGB, they are having to jump in, and we don't play can sit content and just hold. The team also sitting content as well. Moonstars, who are already near backup Atmo, and in a really good spot to do some damage here.
We don't play. Looks like they're trying to eye out and gatekeep to the south, but RGB also moved to the south of Alpha Base. Looks like they were maybe thinking this might go more stasis array or maybe go south. Who would have thought, as the team is going to be coming in right back behind them. And hey, guess what? It's going to be our buddy Snorlax coming in and having to deal with RGB. See how this fight goes, as it has been a while since 2 other members have had to pull the triggers. RGB, though, Color Bucket taking a lot of damage. King Stefan, too. Wow, that was cleanly played by Kopernik Pizza, who really want to make sure that they string together a good game right now.
Yeah, good finish here from Damn Justice. Absolutely went off before with plays just like this. And following up off of the Rolling Thunder from Bangalore's ultimate, they were able to really just take down RGB, and they're just sitting there. They're not even putting the shield up. They know that it's over. Color Bucket, King Stefan fall. King Stefan also, to be fair, missed all of his shots on the G7 Scout, so that didn't help.
I mean,
and sometimes that's what matters.
Damn Justice was over there pulling like a full Neo from the Matrix, dodging those bullets as they were coming at him. Like, he juked in between so many of those. That was astounding to see.
We don't play here as a 2. Interesting enough, maybe Mr. Profin had to go grab lunch or something. They said, we got this, no worries.
Working bills are a thing. You gotta pay the bills.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, oh darn, there's a slim chance that we might get second if somehow we don't manage to, like, sneak in and snake our way into a circle. But hey, guess what? The circle just lands on us. Almost at that point, we're like, just go to work, buddy. Go do whatever you need to do. We got this.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a great way to put it. You know, there's not really much on the negative side for we don't play, and that's the benefit of handling business early. Even if they go out here, they've gotten a few placement points. I think 2 right now. And just extending their lead at the top, which is, last time I checked, it was 25 points. So make that 27. Someone's going to have to do just a tie. Not an easy feat whatsoever. We don't play. Not worried about that. As to, can they do a little bit of damage? I'm sure Romeo plays. Feels confident in it, but doesn't really want to take the fight.
They don't know that this is just a duo on the other side of it as well, because this is the remnants of what we saw going on with new TSM. But hey, Moonstars was also pathing over here, and here's what's going to be happening. And whoa, we don't play. This is turning into a big problem. Both of them have lost their shields just trying to run, and this is a hightail it down here. But it is going to be one of the members from new TSM that is trying to chase. While this is going to be happening, to the south, there's going to be a squad coming in at roughly the same time. New TSM doesn't want to overextend, though, because I think that they also did spot out Moonstars coming into this one. So good job on We Don't Play. They got separation, they got health, but now here comes another 3-man squad.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest benefits to the rest of the squad is the fact that even though we don't play are a duo, this team as a trio would probably be more aggressive and harder to get around in terms of teams from the south coming into play. The team we'd mentioned that likes to hard rotate, 2 Minute Esports, they got through We Don't Play, and realizing now it's probably because they were able to go through a duo instead of a trio. This is something that is actually shaking up the top 4, because We Don't Play obviously leading, but Moonstars in 5th. They're 2 points away from being in the 4th place prizing, and the only team ahead of them by 2 points, that's new TSM, who also only have two players. So, Moonstars are in a good spot here, I think, to hold. 2 Minute Esports a good spot, 2 points ahead of new TSM to push forward. And it's only Kopernik Pizza who's in that second place by 7 points. So a lot of things that can happen here. We could see a complete shift of our top 2 to 5.
And we've got a lot of divergence that's going to be coming in, or convergence, sorry about that. We got 2 Minute Esports that's going to be coming in right back on the opposite side of the cliff facing from Moonstars, but then it is going to be right back behind them. Surprise, surprise, Damn Justice. The rest of the crew looks like they're going to be eyeing that same path. The top 4 really fighting it out right now, all very close to each other, and Moonstars really having the burden thrown at them as they're going to be kind of one of the gatekeeping positions that so many are going to be having to deal with. But also, it looks like January is starting to get a feel for where they're going to be moving inside the circles. Yep, Damn Justice does get spotted out, and that's going to be by 2 Minute Esports at the start.
Kopernik Pizza fighting for second place. Beautiful shots from the G7. Snorlaxia takes just as much in return. Oh, and even more. Riot Drill forcing him away from his cover. Damn Justice still has an angle, as well as Sexism. And that is actually going to really help for, I think, this team holding down this angle, which is outside. Yes, it is, but I think it's a great spot to play from because they have everything in front of them and they can rotate around if they need to. A lot of flexibility with a very flexible team fighting composition.
I do like the fact that don't overcommit. You don't know what you're walking into. That's 2 different choke points following into each other. That's a really easy way to end your run very, very quickly. So 2 Minute Esport having the same idea and going, hey, yep, nope. 2 choke point, bad idea. Let's go to the south as well. But that is going to put them along the pathing of where we can see Andrews West as well as CSGO. And I guess that's Sploron in SG that are all going to be down there. Also, whenever we look in, January is going to be the team that's playing to the south. So Moonstars do a good job. They manage to hold down the choke point and push both teams to the south, as that's now going to be, what, a 4-team potential fight?
Yeah, it easily could be. It's getting hot in the south. We'll see who can withstand the heat. January, pretty cool month. Almost approaching after the holidays here very shortly. It's when our grand final is on the 7th. We'll see if January 23 is the squad. Stay cool under pressure. They will need to. 2 Minute Esports nearby as well. And this might be that fight we were just referencing. Really good shots. It's a full crack onto the big NK from 2 Minute Esports, and they're just going to rotate to the right over the top of January 23, who now have the top layer of this building, even though height is given up to 2 Minute Esports. So 2 teams occupying very small amounts of real estate, but that Maggie Riot Drill is always going to be a threat as it can reach in through that wall. So inside, they're going to have to be careful.
And now, big movements coming out. The circle is going to reveal itself. It's going to hard shift into the north. We Don't Play has now made a commitment down into this angle as well. So these 2 teams that are stacked on top of each other are going to have to make sure that they deal with this efficiently. Moonstars trying to make an early path into this one, but we see 2 members now trying to move into the north, as well as it's going to be Pizza that are going to be coming back into that pathing, that choke point that was a problem just a moment ago. We Don't Play now has to figure out what do we do, because it's new TSM that is going to be gatekeeping them out. Suddenly this shift back down to go for kills isn't finding kills for We Don't Play, and now they have a problematic path back into the circle. Is this fight that is on top of this building needs to do something. The ring's going to start closing, and it's just going to spell their mutual doom if they don't try to make something happen.
Yeah, and this is actually, I think, a big moment for both teams. January 23 needs these points, so they actually are encouraged to take the fight. But when you talk about 2 Minute Esports, they're only 2 points ahead of new TSM, staying in 3rd place, so they don't want to lose those points. They've got to stay alive, and now Moonstars is probably in the best position of the teams in the money outside of We Don't Play to survive and do well in the zone. They're in the far north side, and it's just going to be up to if they can stay alive in this fight. Kyoto going down to about 125 health, but will rotate into this building, and an exhibit will come out to give Domino and that squad of Moonstars more vision, so they are not surprised by any push any team could make right now.
That was Pizza that was coming up back behind them that was getting some damage in. They didn't get the knock, and they wanted that one pretty bad. So, January into the south, you can see this fight's finally starting to break off, but man, they are getting torn apart. Just left with the last one that's really sitting on any form of shields. 2 Minute Esports can't make any moves either because with what's going to be going on, we still have We Don't Play that's trying to move into the north. So do you commit into the fight? Do you just try to get in the circle? Nobody can really figure it out, but it looks like 2 Minute Esports has decided, all right, it's time to cut our pathing over into the west, and they're going to be rewarded with this. All the teams have leaned into the east, so that means that they actually get a pretty free reward in running into this one. Everything now, though, is going back to Moonstars in their position.
I love that point you made. They have a free rotate, and even using the Wrecking Ball outside of trying to find any damage or disruption with it, just the speed boost, the pads that are left after that Wrecking Ball continues on to its way, being able to help them get a quicker than usual move into the zone. And now Moonstars completely happy with where they are. They've got a building, and they are still in zone. In fact, the team outside of them, Copernic Pizza, Damn Justice and squad, they've got a building right next to them, but they're not in zone. So essentially now the gatekeep belongs to Moonstars. And teams now have to make moves if they want to get around from it. Copernic Pizza, as well as We Don't Play, as well as 2 Minute Esports and Moonstars. There's a lot happening here within our top 4 teams. 4 of the 5 still alive.
You said the fact that you've got to have your moment. You got to prove that you deserve it. And you can see teams are trying to do so. On the offensive, on trying to at least make something happen. We Don't Play, get some airborne, and looks like they're going to jump back down, just trying to get some information on what's going to be happening up in front of them, be a distraction, so that way Namka can run in. He's going to be able to get there as well. So Moonstars in control of the compound also means the fact that 3 different teams are eyeing their position. Got to be careful with those peaks. Spray is going to be coming out. We Don't Play now has control over the circle, but it's going to be Moonstars that have control over the strong compound, but with 2 different teams that are going to be eyeing them. Everybody is still just jockeying for position around this one point, trying to figure out how they're going to navigate what's going to be happening next, as the big influencing factor is still going to be 2 Minute Esports and how they're going to path, as it looks like they've left the west and might be just playing down to the south.
Look at this. Romeo plays Mr. Namka. Wouldn't this be terrible? Moonstars need points. They're in 5th place. They're outside of the money. The one team that is in the best position is also in the worst position in terms of who is at their back. The number 1 team, even as a duo, it's not somebody that you want to be fighting against and having to deal with, diverting your attention away from the crowd that will be having to move. 2 Minute Esports on the high ground. You can see them on that northern side, and Exhibit has just gone down in the fight that they're at. And it looks like the team that they were fighting, Eagle and Lifa, January 23, will be eliminated. And it's now Copernic Pizza, 2 Minute Esports, and Moon. That is our 2nd place team, our 3rd place team, and our 5th place team, and as well as We Don't Play, our 1st place team. Whoever wins this game within 2 to 3, they're going to have 2 to 5, excuse me, they're going to have a chance to possibly overtake the others. And so everything comes down to these moments. Matchroom.
This is going to be so problematic. This bridge right that connects all 3 of these buildings is a bloodbath waiting to happen. The teams know it. They're trying to figure out how they're going to move through. Copernic Pizza does not want to make the action into it, instead of looking in, but it is going to be on the opposite side of it. 2 Minute Esports tries to make an aggressive play into the Moonstars. They're going to be trying to bypass this. We Don't Play, the beneficiary of everybody just jumping up on top of each other and trying to take them out. They've got sprays galore that they can set up into this one, but on the opposite side, Copernic Pizza is still playing this one as slow as possible. They're trying to stay grouped up. They're hoping that this 3-way fight will break out, and then they can just pounce on it, pick up the kills, and pick up the victory, but this is not looking like it's going to shape up that way.
I mean, look at that riot drill, how close that was. Matchroom from truly taking all 3 of those members out, forcing them into the zone. That would have been essentially 1 ability and 3 kills if they had gotten that right. 2 Minute Esports. Oh my God, the Big NK is in trouble. They're going to have to try to finish off this gravity lift. They will, but the Big NK, they found time to get a med kit of any sort. Just trying to pour off. It's Mr. Namka. It is Mr. Profin trying to get involved potentially too. And oh no, this is exactly what 2 Minute Esports did not want to happen. Moonstars are alive, and so are Copernic Pizzas. But 2 Minute Esports have kind of been the meat in that sandwich.
Got to be careful with this. Moonstars now starting to get more control over this compound. You can see that they're just wanting to finish this one out. Big spray, connected damage. Moonstars, they had control of this at the start, and they're going to try to have control over it at the ender. You can see Romeo did try to move in, but it's going to be Nero now just trying to escape on the outside of this. Damn Justice, we saw his damage numbers in the first game. As 2 Minute Esports is going to be eliminated. Is he going to have a follow-up? Can he have the big damage when they need her? Can Moonstars manage to defend this one up? But Copernic Pizza, they're just rolling through this one. They're pumping out so much damage. On the outside of it, it's still We Don't Play that are just waiting to pick up the scraps.
I can't believe it. With only 2 players, somehow We Don't Play makes 2nd place again. And if it's anything like 1st place, when they had 1 player and almost clutched up with 2, I feel like they just might do it. Copernic Pizza now lose damn justice. It is a 2v2 for the final win. Could it somehow be with just a squad, a duo, taking down a trio? We don't play. End up screaming at the top of their lungs that we are the best in the PlayStation tournaments ecosystem. I think so, but it's going to be Sorlaxia who can put an end to it. Oh, we don't play. Are your champions of wildcard number 4, and they stop history from being made. It will not be a new winner. It will be a back-to-back from the beginning to the end, and let you know that they are the best. Matchroom, that's all there is to it.
I am just astounded. They understood where to play in that one, but we don't play as a duo. Winning the last game is it really watching the EU side of this if they don't have 2 victories? I don't even know. I feel like it's just kind of wrong. It doesn't feel like the day is complete, right?
Absolutely not. I mean, those last moments, it was tough. It was close. I mean, Moonstars, 2 Minute Esports, we don't play maybe the team that we expected to play spoiler, not necessarily win it all. I mean, so many different storylines and motives. That was a tough circle to navigate for anybody there.
I mean, getting it down into a 1v1. And did you see, We Don't Play had one of their members get sprayed down. The last guy up jumps from behind the box, has near on no shield left. The opponent, still sitting, I think, about half, still jumps down in front of him and says, nah, I got faith in my aim. I got faith in my skill. We said the fact that on the last game of the day, can you be a superstar? And We Don't Play says yes. Yes, we can.
Yeah, I mean, that's how they do it. They are superstars. They play at that level. They've built a name for themselves, and they've done it with adversity. Mr. Namka did it as a solo. Then Mr. Namka at the very end clutches up as a solo, gets revenge for himself, gets redemption, what he would have wanted to do in game number 1, and then ultimately does it in game number 5 to finish off the day, giving them their 2nd win. And obviously, as a duo, just the immense amount of, I don't know, pride you must feel, Matchroom, being able to do that in a lobby like this, that's incredible.
It's finally we get that splash and that spice of the day, moving out of that southwestern area. We got ourselves some fun, and We Don't Play finds the way to exploit that. Just look at this aim. 2 members up, just still controlling the entirety of the circle. There's 3 teams on the opposite side of that, and they could not break focus on what was going on. We Don't Play. Moonstars do make the push in, and this was the catalyst for everything coming apart at the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, that one Maggie riot drill really hurt Moonstars because Domino and Bidaz, you can tell, don't really have a good amount of time to heal. And that time that they do heal, it allows Copernic Pizza to move in, and then Moonstars actually has to fight not just Nero, but also has to fight a full Copernic Pizza team. So that riot drill really making a big difference. Snorlaxia, though, doing a really good job on the outside of things as well. And cleaning up 1, I mean, that was the play from Snorlaxia. You trade health and you trade ammo, and it's actually a pretty even fight here. Mr. Namka goes in with just a little bit more health on that slide, and that's just a recognition of the fact that this is how I win this game, and certainly did it. Mr. Profin, what's up with those stats, man? I mean, really felt like you weren't even playing.
Just dragging the team numbers down. There is 2,000 damage. Let's just be honest. 3,000 damage done with a duo and still walking away with 8 kills in a victory. We Don't Play. They don't. They just win. That's pretty much what they did.
That is one of those things that you just can't take away from them. We Don't Play show up, and they make big moments happen. And that's what I love when people make you talk about them. There's other stories we could have mentioned, but when it comes to playing smart, when it comes to using and salvaging, I love that word that you kind of described it as, because that's what it is, salvaging a game. There's a lot of teams that could have played that area that We Don't Play were, but we ask, can they do it when they're not rotating far? Can they do it from south to north instead of north to south? The answer is unequivocally, without a doubt, yes.
I'm just astounded as we're going to be moving into the finals and what can be brought out. Almost had the opportunity of seeing some variation and not having repeat winners, but I mean, I really actually do enjoy seeing repeat winners whenever we look at these events and qualifying rounds, because that's always the, oh my god, Apex, that's so RNG because it's all about where the circle goes, blah, 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 blah. Whenever you have teams that are consistently winning, consistently pulling up stuff, it just shows the fact that, no, it's not about the RNG, it's about the skill. I mean, hell, We Don't Play has more kills than 2 Minute Esports, who's in third, has total points.
I know. That is so incredible. The other thing I find really interesting is that with 1 point, Moonstars jump into the money ahead of new TSM, who was sitting in fourth, 2 points ahead of them. So they had done just enough. Even though they didn't end up winning, they had done just enough to get into the prizing. And that is a very, very fun thing to know that you did today. It's a great use of your Saturday. It's a great time to obviously play. And then, of course, you ended up getting some cash along the way. Thank you so much for all of our teams who participated. For those who want to know what's coming up next, well, we got another wildcard qualifier happening at 2 p.m. in just a couple of hours. So grab some lunch, reset, and meet us back here at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Then, in January 7th, after an incredible holiday season and the new year has begun, we will enter into our Master Circuit final at 9 a.m. Pacific time for both regions. It is going to be phenomenal. And, Matchroom, if they want to stay connected, there's also a bunch of fighting opportunities, too. It's December 19th, December 21st, December 20th, and December 30th. You've got Dragon Ball FighterZ, you've got Street Fighter V Champion Edition, Madden 23 Last Chance Qualifier, and Tekken 7 Fight Nights to round out the end of the year. That should be a fun thing to do before New Year's Eve. So all these great things on the horizon. And if you want to stay connected to it, Matchroom, there's a lot of things that, you can connect with us on, and especially the Discord that we're building up.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot that's going to be going on through the entirety of this year, so just make sure that you guys try to stay as tuned in as you can. Join the PlayStation Tournaments Community Discord to find regular updates on esports events, articles, videos, and meet other people so that way you can kind of approve your game, find people to play with, maybe make your own squad and start competing in. The PlayStation Tournaments Community Discord will regularly host play sessions, interviews with figures in the community, and all kinds of other special content, so make sure you guys just go ahead and try to jump in on that. You can just bring up your Discord, look down over there in that corner, and go ahead and hit that little barcode down there so that way you guys can get involved and get joined in and, come and chit-chat with everybody, even us. We're going to be inside there and chit-chat with you as you will.
And, you can also, while you're doing that, rack up some wins in PlayStation tournaments all throughout December and January for a chance to win prizes like the new DualSense Edge controller or even PS5 consoles. Talk about winning a PS5 in the holiday season, December and January. Now, that would be a win. Sign up on console, start competing for prizes today. Full rules can be read on compete.playstation.com, where it all begins. What a great show. Matchroom, it's been great working with you. Final thoughts on the day before we close out. Emiya.
I'm hoping that whenever we go over to North America, we see some rails get used. I don't know. I'm a sucker for it. It's fun. It's cool to look at, but we don't play. Mad respect. You guys are so good. Cannot wait to see what you guys are going to be doing coming forward from this one, going into the grand finals for it. Also, Air Predict Pizza, new TSM. We had so many big plays coming out. Moonstars, love what you guys are doing. Cannot wait to see what's going to be next for you guys and how much you can step it up and moving into the rest of the year.
I mean, ditto. I cannot reiterate enough how awesome it was to see these teams performing at the level that they did. It was a close day. It was one of the closer days I've seen. 4 different winners. That's impressive just with that. Matchup, thanks so much for hanging out with me. And for everyone here as well who is going to be joining us for the next show, we can't wait to see you at 2 p.m. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Our production, our crew, our staff behind the scenes, our players, and you, the fans. We thank you. We appreciate you. And as always, never give up, never stop gaming. And we'll see you all next time.